I don't know if I'm live yet. I'm not paying attention. And I'm in a cranky old man mood. So get ready for everything. First of all, people on TikTok, I don't have a black eye, okay? I have dark circles under my eye. Look at that. Look, what is my hair doing? I look like I have a receding hairline, and it's ridiculous because I probably do. But why do I have to show that? Also, screw you. If you're sitting there saying, what's up with your black eye? And I really had a black eye, screw you. If you say, what's up, look at your black eye, and I don't have a black eye, screw you. Because now I've got mom look insecurities, okay? I know I'm not a looker anymore. Got it? I got teeth problems. I got hair problems. I don't know if I'm dying. I probably could be. Not really. We're all dying. After we're born, we're dying. But my point is, fuck you, okay? Cool. I'm also slightly highly irritated with everyone surrounding the Murdaugh trial, people trying to make things out to be what they aren't. Listen, yes, this is ridiculous. You couldn't write a book on this out of your own imagination. You could probably write a book on it after, but then I would tell you that you're jumping on the bandwagon, but whatever. Nobody knows me, so it doesn't matter. But I know you, and I hate you. So, Buster was biting his nail, people. For real? He was biting his nail. Now, let me tell you why this irritates me. Because everyone here wants to know. And by everyone, I mean just me. Because I'm all alone. I'm all alone in my thoughts and I'm all alone in my rants. Fitz News is a little bit of a punk. And a little bit of a pick-me girl. That's right. I'm 40-something years old, and I said that. So that popularity and that phrase is over now. I killed it. Mark my words. 9:17 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, this old lady mom killed pick-me girl. But Will didn't. Somebody's jealous that they don't have the inside scoop that they used to, because it was never about the inside scoop. It was about holding people accountable. You don't have to make up news when it already is. You don't have to make up things when they already are. Ask me why I'm so angry about this. I don't know. I think I'm premenopausal. And that is something to be angry about, not only because you literally can't control your anger because it's hormonal, but because that's devastating. I'm 20, right? I'm 20 years old. I'm not in my 40s. I don't have more gray hair than I ever did before. It's a perfect day. Why aren't you streaming outside? Well, that's because somebody decided to do something really good with our taxes and fix the road with big machinery out front. Rude. So it's too loud. Ugh. Also, where did my original notebook go? Where did it go with all of my Murdaugh notes? Why is my hair dumb? Why is my hair dumb? It's because I have black eyes, right? No, it's called I'm old. TikTok commenter that I blocked. Meanie? Poop pants? Do head. Lint liquor. I don't even have the trial pulled up. People are really like, no. Don't click on this bitch, or do, because she is a train wreck and I need to watch. Have you ever annoyed yourself? I am annoyed by myself and I can't get away. That's ridiculous. That's some bullshit. Okay? Bullshit. I'm bullshit. I don't like anybody. I'm grumpy and I need to take a nap. but I don't because I have things to do because I'm grown up. And that's stupid. Okay? Being a grown up is stupid. Except when it's not, because I can legally drink alcohol. But other than that, it's stupid. And it's stupid that I can't figure out what the heck I'm doing because stupid I can't talk. Everything's stupid. This is the most ridiculous stream I've ever done. But I'm mad. Genuinely mad. Real folks. Pick me, girl. I'm a pick me, girl. When I saw him this summer, if I would have realized that was him, I would have thrown a gum wrapper at him. Yeah, my friend painted a church pink and I got to talk about it. Me. No one but me knows what I'm talking about. That's okay. I'm gonna mute you because I don't want to hear you. Let's be the news reporters and talk about dumb stuff that we have no idea about. Let's have people in the chat talk about there's no motive. I'm so immature right now. And I'm okay with it. Ugh. And I have a song in my head that I can't get out. It's looping. It's annoying. Am I going to sing it? Not to you. Not to you. That's rude of me to do because your ears would bleed. This is very helpful. Why can't I click on things correctly? Why? Why? Cool. Oh, let's unmute this so I can know when they're coming back on. Hi, one person. It's less exciting now because I'm done with my rant that had nothing to do with anything besides I am highly annoyed at want to stab people in the eyeball with maybe a pool noodle, including myself. Thank you for leaving. Thank you. Mother fluffers. They haven't started yet. They haven't started trial, but they can tell you how it ends. It's probably going to end in a mistrial because got it. Why couldn't people wait until after the trial? I am in agreement for this. Why did we start a GoFundMe for the caregiver? I believe her name is Michelle, the caregiver of Alex Murdaugh's mom, until after the trial. Even though everyone is well aware, I want to donate to it. But it makes it look like she's getting paid for her testimony. Or that if she is going to be called up again to testify, she could be financially swayed in what she says. Why are people annoying? All you had to do was wait a couple weeks until after the trial. And I'll drive down there and personally hand a freaking check or cash. I don't know why. Why did I differentiate between the two? Who knows? But what I do know is that people hating on Mark Tinsley, the attorney that has testified twice, one on camp or one in jury people there, one jury people not there. He's pissed off. You know why he's pissed off? Because the people who were responsible for his client's child's death or trying to hide funds or trying to make them look like the cuckoo people. He's pissed off. Everyone's pissed off. I'm pissed off, and I don't even know these motherfuckers. The audacity to be so smug and to sit there and be so open with, yeah, I'm trying to move money around. So this lawsuit of the people who are suing us because my son's responsible for the actions that led to her death. I'm going to try to intimidate them. An attorney is a representative of a person or persons. He's representing fuck you. That's the kind of attorney that I would want. I don't like gatekeeping all the time. But when you're of a certain culture and you understand the nuances and how people work, I don't think Mark Tinsley is only pissed for his clients. I think he's pissed for a population that is tired of these assholes getting away with stuff, doing things to people, not being held accountable, and then intimidating and going after the victims. I wish a mother would. I don't like the freaking chimichangas talking and pooper scoopers. He's immature. Yeah. You know what else is immature? Hiding funds from a family and families who have been victimized due to your kid. They have hospital bills, they have funeral expenses, they have whatever, and you're trying to hide that shit? Fuck you and your not really, don't fuck their mom. Don't fuck anybody's mom, but you know what I'm saying. I am grumpy. However, let me try to pull up this clip of Mark Tinsley on the stand. I missed some of it because I've had sickness. My children have sickness, so I've missed some of the details. I haven't been able to live stream. Not like anybody freaking cares. I don't care, but I just like to rant, okay? So I care. Do I care? I don't know. Do you care that I don't know if I care? Who cares? But he's sitting here on the stand. I don't know if it was yesterday, talking about a paper and the way he responds to the defense. I'll try to show you. He's a little petty bitch, and I love it. I still haven't started yet. I have the sound up. It's still on the seal. I love when I see people come into the live stream and then they leave. It makes my confidence go sky high. I'm telling you. No, I don't want to pay for any news. Sorry, I don't. Call me a jerk face. Don't really care. It might be on, I know I saw it on TikTok. He's basically, I'm going to ruin it. It's going to be anticlimactic like my whole freaking stream, but I believe the prosecution asks him for a piece of paper. He's like, oh yeah, this one? Yeah, this is the same one I gave to, and you can tell he's going to say the attorney's name, but to be a petty ass bitch, he's like, I gave it to whatever that lawyer's name is. It's funny how he does it, and I live for his pettiness. I really do. Because he don't dress for women. He don't dress for men. Lately, he's been dressing to be a petty ass bitch. Why did I search TikTok on YouTube? Why did I not do it on Google? What the hell is wrong with me other than everything? Rude. I am rude.
This video, I'm going to make this video one more time. This is the third time I
don't have a filter today. I don't want to use a QR code. It should already be logged in. I have 15 accounts that I don't know about. So please just let me log in. Okay? Okay. I'd appreciate it. So yeah, I think Stupid Fits News is testifying about some like buster. Oh, we're here.
May now be seated.
We're here. We're here. No, I'm straight. I'm bored.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. Tinsley.
This is I'm ready for this shit. I'm gonna cheer this motherfucker on. Go, Tinsley, go, Tinsley, go. Go, Tinsley, go, Tinsley, go. I'm probably gonna delete this stream very soon. I'm gonna delete this. Be a petty ass bitch. Keep it coming. Because everybody's mother off. I wonder if our Pootie Poop is gonna cross-examine him. And yesterday court basically ended with, when are you gonna be done? Even the judge was like, I think he's asking when you're gonna be done. He's losing his patience a little bit, perhaps. Don't know, can't read people's minds. Mark Tinsley, the attorney who represented the Beach family. Mallory Beach, the person who passed away because of Alec Murdaugh's son, his actions, driving the boat. Same family he was trying to hide funds from. That's one of the things that Alec was.
Thank you. Good morning.
The CFO.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Day number 15.
The CFO
State's
from his.
case. The last objection was sustained. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you, when I sustain an objection, that means you're to disregard the question and any response. You may proceed.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. May it please the court. Mr. Tinsley, good morning.
Good morning.
Just to kind of reset the table from where we left off, you had testified about pursuing the case against the defendant over the boat wreck, correct?
Correct.
And you had communicated to the defense that the defendant was going to have to pay personally, correct?
Correct.
Not just the insurance.
Correct.
Correct.
And you had been told that the defendant was broke, correct?
That's correct.
And you had filed a motion to compel. Had you filed a motion to compel, states 402, seeking to identify any bank accounts that he had.
In October of 2020.
Could I have the helmet, please? And the screen. David.
I'm gonna mute myself. Hey, Stacy, you missed a whole shit show of a rant from me.
I think one of the things that you had also testified
hate everybody
to is
today.
that just generally COVID had kind of slowed things down in the court system.
Ultimately, yes.
And then you had some health issues that you were dealing with as well. Is that correct?
At some point, yes.
At some point in time.
And again, just in case,
did
this
a
is Mark
hearing
Tinsley,
in
who represented the
vote
Beach
case
family.
That would include a hearing on this motion to compel that's on the screen.
Mallory Beach is the one who passed away
It
in the
did.
boat crash.
And when did it initially get scheduled?
My recollection is
That
it
Paul
was
cost.
set for May the 30th.
All right, I'm going to mute myself.
2021.
All right, and let me show you an example real quick. I'm going to show you what's been marked as States 404 and see if you recognize this document.
I do.
All right, and what is that?
That is a communication about the hearing. It's actually about a status conference about the hearing that's going to be on May the 30th.
Okay. All right, and what was the day of that status conference going to be?
May the 7th,
All right.
2021.
All right, and then look at the subject line on that and just take a look at that real quick.
Motions hearing May the 11th.
Yeah. Was that the date or was it May 30th for the motions hearing? To your recollection?
To my recollection, it's May the 30th.
All right, but this email is related to that particular hearing, is that correct?
It's related to the hearing on my motion to compel and some other hearings, yes.
All right, at this point, Your Honor, I move to admit States 404, I believe, without additional objection.
No additional objection.
And is that the particular email we were just discussing?
It is.
Amen, Stacy.
And you're correct. The hearing was May the 11th. Yeah.
By the way, I really enjoyed what I could listen to of
Yes.
Holy Spackle's panel the other night last night. It was really good. I really enjoyed hearing Wicked Pickle's perspective on everything.
405.
I thought she was cool before, but I think she's even more cool now. One would say she's a cool cucumber that's been pickled.
I do.
All right, tell me what this is, please.
It's an email from Judge Hall, who had been assigned the case about the hearing. John Tiller, who was Alec's lawyer in the boat crash case, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer about the same time, just before I found out I had cancer. And so he had a chemotherapy treatment that was going to run long the day of the hearing. He didn't always know when his treatments would be, but about a week before he would know. And so the hearing needed to be rescheduled to accommodate John's treatment.
All right, and just initially, when that request was made, what was the judge in that case's response?
The hearing would go forward as scheduled, and one of Alec's other lawyers could attend.
All right, so initially the judge denied that continuous request, is that correct?
That's correct.
And what happened after that that ultimately resulted in it being continued?
I sent an email. John Tiller was my friend, and I didn't object to continuing it. And then the judge had a status conference. And at that point, we continued the hearing until June the 10th.
In the course of this litigation,
I'm also
given
annoyed
that
too
you were
that
coming
someone
out of COVID,
recently,
that the judge
I think
in
it was
that
a news
particular
reporter,
case,
talking
been
about,
relatively aggressive. And
I don't even
wanting
think
to
they
move this
freaking
case forward.
realized that
To
the
your
boat crash has
assessment?
been settled.
The judge knew that I was in Florida receiving
They were
treatment
discussing
and,
things as if like
was accommodating that.
that hadn't happened yet.
So,
You're going to
no,
jump on the
he wasn't being
bandwagon,
aggressive at
get
that
all
time.
your
It was
wheels.
when I was ready.
Rude.
So I was back and we were ready.
And that's what led to this initial hearing, is that correct?
Correct.
But ultimately, you agreed to let this thing be continued, correct?
I did.
All right. Your Honor, this time I'd offer stage 4 or 5 into evidence.
No additional objection.
Submitted.
And down at the bottom of this email chain, what's the date on that? Can you read there on your screen, or I need to bring it back to you?
May 5th, 2021.
And that's communication from whom?
That's from John Tiller to Judge Hall.
All right.
And that's relaying the need for the postponement for the chemotherapy treatment.
All right. And then there were the communications from you related to that. Is that correct? Well, let me go right here. This is the response right there. Is that correct from Judge Hall?
That's the initial response, that he intended to go forward with the hearing as scheduled, and that Mr. Condon from the same firm could handle it.
The hell? So this person on stand right now, if you remember the caregiver that testified, the caregiver's
See if you recognize this particular guy.
sister created a GoFundMe for her because she's taking time off of work so that media doesn't like flood the school that she's at and disrupt things for the
I do.
students.
All right. And what is this?
Why they didn't wait until after the trial,
That's an
I don't
email
know.
from John Tiller. So after
But this
the
guy
emails on the screen
donated
saying, I
a
intend to
grand
go forward,
to her
John Tiller sent another
GoFundMe.
email explaining a little more detail.
Although
what's
it's not,
going
it makes
on,
it look
and
like
that
she's
he,
being paid for her
I believe it said he
testimony.
had spoken to me and I had agreed.
So the
They were my
defense
motions. There were some other motions, but when it's your
asked
motion,
that his
you can agree to
testimony
continue it.
be
If a
taken
party,
out.
wants it continued, and you can
And
object.
the
so
judge was
that's
like,
what that's doing,
no,
trying
that
to get
sounds
the
like
judge
good
to
fodder for cross-examination.
Not go forward with the May the 11th date.
All right, Your Honor, this time I offer stage 4 and 6 into evidence.
No additional objection.
Submitted.
I'm kind of
All right,
excited
Dale,
for
how check your
cross-examination.
email
I hope
is?
that Harpreet Lane does
May
it because I want to
6th,
see them get in a fight.
2021.
Did the judge ultimately, though, based on this series of emails, granted the continuance on this motions hearing, correct?
Well, he gave us a status conference in which we did by video, and ultimately he agreed.
Okay. And what day was the motions hearing that included the motion to compel rescheduled for?
June 10th, 2021.
Going back to states 402, one of the matters that was on the table to be heard would have been your attempt to get compelled responses to this interrogatory from the defendant, correct?
That's correct.
Seeking identification of his bank accounts.
That's correct.
Remember what day of the week, June the 10th, 2021 would have been?
I believe it's a Thursday.
How'd you hear about the murder of Maggie and Paul?
I got a phone call sometime in the middle of the night, 11:30, after my recollection.
That was on June 7th, 2021,
That's right.
into June 8th, 2021.
I think I heard it's still June 7th when I hear about it, but yeah.
On June 8th, 2021, did you have any conversations with any of the lawyers involved in the boat case or any communications?
I believe so. I think that it was more of, there wasn't a whole lot of consideration to be given to the fact that the hearing wasn't going to go forward. It was sort of shock and horror of what had happened, and nobody really knew what to do in the moment.
Of course, that hearing's not going forward after this.
It did not.
This comment right here on Twitter by someone named Sarah Ford.
We'll show you what's been marked as states 407.
It's a little bit why I'm just
And
so
see if you
pissed.
recognize that particular document.
She says, anytime we
This
question
is
why,
an
let me
email
mute them for just a second.
from
Blah, blah, blah.
Judge
email.
Hall's law clerk, Judge Hall.
We got it. Sarah says, anytime we question why victims aren't doing something, am I fucking muted? No. Are or are not doing something like we think they should, we're in the wrong neighborhood and asking the wrong question. A freaking men. I think that's I'm just gonna mute him for a second because I just want to rant. I am so freaking annoyed by so many things that I see online. I'm annoyed because, again, not trying to be like, I live here, but I live here. And you know the culture, you know these type of people and what we all have to put up with. Number two, I feel a little personally triggered, if you will. I freaking hate that word, but you don't know what people are trying to be careful of because they're afraid to speak up for fear of being re-victimized. People like this are jerk faces, and they don't forget, and they hold on to grudges, and it'll be something little or not. You'll either slightly get inconvenienced by something. Their retaliation will be an inconvenience, or it'll be life-changing. To sit there and say that caregiver's testimony didn't help and stuff, I bet she really didn't tell half the stuff because I bet she was afraid for her motherfucking life. This is a Black woman who lives in the South. Not just the South, but I have had friends who are no longer friends who live in the Charleston area, which is about an hour away from where all these people are, which is a bigger city. This is a smaller town. And so you can understand that there's probably, it's more of a vacuum, more of a, we're going to do things this way, shut your mouth and follow suit. My former friend talking about Charleston, because she lived there for quite a long time. This was in like, I don't know, 2008 or 2009, have said things like, well, they know to stay on their side of town. I'm like, I'm sorry, who's they? And what happens if they don't? I have had people try to invite me to church, pardon me, because their church is a good church because, you know, none of the Blacks are there. And I'm like, I'm sorry. What? Sorry, let me close the door. This is right out in the open. This is in the daylight. This is at a grocery store. This is at whatever. I don't think people really truly understand the segregation that still exists in this state, especially the more closer you get to Charleston, which they are closer to Charleston. My neighborhood, we had a little neighborhood meeting one time about blocking off a certain alleyway. They tried to claim because it was, you know, because the alley was too narrow, but they also said it will help keep them out. And I said, who's them? I'm real popular around these parts. Can you tell? I'm like, who's the them that we're talking about? Well, you know. No, I'm not. I don't know. Who's them? I make them say it. Well, it's not that, JC. It's not, it's like, you know, drug addicts and stuff like that. Where are the drugs? How do you know? Did you buy them? Is that how you know? Should we block off your house? Should I have, what do we need to worry about you? the fact that little buttholes online don't know the subtleties and of this culture, don't know, that's not subtle, but it is so likely that they could have video of Alec committing this murder and the juror would still find him not guilty because they are scared. And then people going on about, there's no motive, there's no motive, there's no motive. Why are we giving these people a pass? The dude that killed people in Idaho, like, crazy people are just crazy. People murder people for the most illogical reasons. Also, most of the reasons, there is no reason to murder someone. Why is everyone coming at Alec like, I just don't get it. Good, you don't get it. You don't have to. Go away, go home, go to bed. Don't talk to me. I hate people. Okay, I think I'm done for now. I'll unmute them, mute myself because I'm poophead.
This course, is that correct?
Objection, pleading.
If a order is, I'm sorry, I'll rephrase that. If a order to compel is granted, tell us about the process that happens after that as it relates to your specific interrogatory we've talked about here today.
Sure. The process starts on Alec's side way before. If you look at those exhibits,
I will say I agree with
you know,
everyone
you'll see Danny
talking about the
Henderson. Again,
prosecution
Danny
is getting
Henderson
into
was
the
his personal
weeds
lawyer.
too much.
Also
Although
a
I think these
shareholder in
things
the
need to be
firm.
brought up, the
Danny
financial
Henderson
crimes, the boat
is
crash, whatever.
reviewing
I think
every
we're getting a
single
little bit
document,
too much
every-
into the
that's how
details
meticulous Danny
where
Henderson
it's
is.
just, it's overkill.
He reviews
That's how
all of the
horrible.
account information
I'm gonna
before
mute
I get
myself.
it. And nobody knows better what Alec's making than Danny Henderson. I mean, you'll see all these checks going out and all these payments being made, and Danny Henderson would have known. So the
Your Honor,
explosion.
Object, Your Honor. Objection.
Basis for the objection.
Foundation.
Response.
Your Honor, he is, speaking of,
Speaking of response to the objection.
he has testified as to the fact of his interactions with that individual who actually brought him insurance documents to review. I think he has a basis to know.
Foundation. And your response to the objection.
I believe he has sufficient foundation to address that from his personal knowledge, Your Honor.
Overrule the objection. You may answer.
Thank you, Your Honor. For instance, I had subpoenaed the phone records, not only Alec's, his father's, but we also had John Marvin, Alec's brother's phone records. Danny reviewed those records for a long time before I could get my hands on them. Danny was involved in everything. He was at every hearing. He was at every deposition. He was intimately involved in every aspect of the case.
If an order to compel is issued, what was going to be your next step if you had an identification of accounts by the defendant?
Subpoena those accounts.
And if those accounts are subpoenaed, can potentially people move to quash those?
They could move to quash, but Danny Henderson would have looked at the documents in anticipation that I could get them.
I gotta
Sustain the objection.
figure out who Danny Henderson is.
If motions to quash had been filed, though, you could have continued to seek that and there would have been further hearings. Is that correct?
I would have continued.
Objection. So sustain, that's the leading.
What would have happened if motions to quash were filed as to any subpoenas you issued to it for the specific information about the defendant's accounts?
I would have continued to push. We would have continued to argue about it.
Would have a process been put in motion, though, that was going to conclusion if an order had been issued on June 10th, 2021?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Step down.
Thank you.
The next witness.
They didn't cross-examine him?
Carolina calls Ms. Blanca Simpson.
What? Did I miss that? Why didn't they? I'm so confused. Why is my stuff lagging? They're like robots. It's kind of what I was waiting for. I'll just go along with my I'm annoyed day. Who's this?
My name is Blanca
Oh.
Turrubiate-Simpson.
Oh.
TURRUBIATE-SIMPSON.
This is a anticipated witness.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is this difficult for you to be here today?
Yes, sir, it is.
Will you please tell the ladies and gentlemen of this jury, Ms. Simpson, about yourself, where you're from, your family, if you want to, and just kind of what you've been doing in life leading up to today, generally, please?
Yes, sir. I'm originally from Brownsville, Texas. I joined the military at the age of 17. I was in Norfolk, Virginia for almost 9.5 years. I was stationed on the USS Puget Sound, USS Shenandoah, Naval Air Station Oceana right before I left.
What'd you do there?
Heavy equipment operator.
Okay.
And my husband was also heavy equipment operator. We were both in the same field. We decided that the military was just not going to be good environment for raising children. So we made a decision, instead of moving to Texas, we moved to South Carolina, where he was from. And we have 5 children, 34, 31, 23, 21, and a 17-year-old. They're all been raised down here in South Carolina.
Any of them still at home?
Yes, sir, 17-year-old.
Where was your husband from? You said he moved back home. Where was he from?
My husband's originally from Gifford, South Carolina.
Say it again.
Gifford, South
Gifford.
Carolina.
Okay. And what does he do?
He's a police officer for Hampton.
When you came to South Carolina, you never been here before, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. What did you do when you got here besides the hardest job in the world, being a mom and raising kids? What else did you do?
When we moved here, we had enough leave built that we didn't have to work for almost 2 months. So I went to, after about a week, I kind of got bored because I'm used to having hands-on doing something. So I went to the local Piggly Wiggly store in town and I asked I didn't know he was the owner at the time. I realized he was the owner after, if I could get a job because I was bored. And
How many kids do you have?
I have 5,
Okay.
but I only had the 2 oldest ones
Okay.
at that time. And so he said the only job he had was a stalker. And I actually had no idea what that meant because I had just graduated high school and went in the military. So I didn't know. But I told him I would take it as long as it would get me out of the house for a little bit. So I took that job, and then within a week, I got a call from another job that I had put in where it was brazing or welding at Scotsman, which is in Allendale County. And I figured, well, it offers benefits, and it would be better transition for the kids, dental, that sort of thing. So I went there. After about 2 weeks, another job called me and had better dental medical benefits for my kids. So that was the first time I went to work for the South Carolina Department of Corrections. I opened up Ridgeland Correctional Institution. I was the first class to graduate from Ridgeland Correctional Institution. I worked my way up from correctional officer to sergeant. I managed the outside details and the road crew on the interstate. Also, a crew that would go out to Hunting Island for maintenance to assist with the park rangers. In 2001, I was offered a job at the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and I accepted the job. So I left Ridgeland Correctional
Hair's
Institution, went to work for FCI Federal Correctional Institution, Ascol, South Carolina, where I stayed until 2007. My job, basically, I started back from the bottom as a correctional officer, and before my year's up, I got promoted to the Special Investigative Support Tech Office, where I was responsible for managing, producing reports, weekly reports, and also profiling the Hispanic gangs, because there was not a lot of staff members that were bilingual. So my job basically became profiling, interviewing, and associating members, the inmate population with gangs.
And how long did you do that?
From 2001 to 2007.
Not that anybody cares, but is that when I first met you?
Yes, sir.
Did you help me arrange a meeting with a prisoner I need to interview?
Yes, sir.
And why did you leave that job?
Just burned, when you're the only, one of the only ones in the office that's bilingual, and you're constantly getting called out for different incidents dealing with a Hispanic population that had grown out quite a bit from the time I got there. And still having to do your daily duties in the office and nobody's helping you, you tend to burn out pretty quick. So
So if an
I
incident,
made a decision to leave.
so if an incident happened when they needed a translator,
I
Your
was
phone
call-
got
I
called.
was, I had to stop what I was doing and respond to whatever incident dealing with the Hispanic inmates.
what did you do after that?
I went into real estate for a little bit, which was not so good because that's when the market crashed.
And again, for the jury's edification, what year is this when you quit the prison? And
2007
you're living
Hey,
where?
Josh.
in Brunson.
I also just looked up Danny
Bronson.
Henderson, who they mentioned previously,
How
who
long has
Tinsley
Danny
just
real estate?
mentioned, is a
Maybe about a
attorney
half.
at the now
Um,
Parker Law
Your
Group.
family's grown at this point, I presume?
The attorney's
And,
office where Alex
Did there
great
come a
grandfather
point
whatever
that
started and where he
you
worked, and his brother worked
met the
and works
defendant,
currently.
Alex Murdaugh?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell them how that happened? Tell the ladies and gentlemen how that transpired.
When I first moved
I don't know who
to,
Blanca is.
Gifford with my husband.
I just know that
Like I
she's
said, I was bored, so I went
been
to work
very
at the
anticipated
grocery store.
as a
At the
witness for this
grocery
trial.
store, and during the time that I moved, there was not a lot of Hispanic families living in that area. It has since grown in the years. I met a lady who I befriended, she was Hispanic. And we started talking because she was the only other Hispanic person that I had actually seen in the area. So we started talking back and forth, and it was nice to speak in your native tongue with somebody. Her son had an accident at the school on his way after school, walking to the car, and he had gotten hurt. One of the ladies that worked at the school had recommended that she use an attorney from Walterboro. And a couple of months had gone by, and I noticed that she was under a lot of stress. And as I talked to her, she said, "I just have to get all these documents. I don't understand." She spoke English, but it was very broken English. So she was having a difficult time explaining what she needed for the attorney. So I told her, I said, "I'm gonna find you an attorney. I'll look around." I said, "And we'll go ahead and fire that attorney and hire you a new one." And because we didn't want the statute of limitations to run out on her case. So at that point, I started looking around, and I happened to walk into the law firm. And it was the old offices where I met Alex.
Just walked in and that's where
Just
you
tell
met
me what you
Lieutenant
wanna
Alex
know.
Murdaugh.
Yes, sir.
And you were trying to assist this individual who was having trouble communicating.
I've said 100 times, feel like a
Prior
broken
attorney,
record,
don't
but
think
just in
whoever that
case.
attorney
I
was,
live in the
but
state. I
you
don't
helped to
live
get a
near
new
here.
attorney.
I live
Yes,
about
sir.
3 hours
Did
northwest
you
of
help with
here.
that case? that
But
particular case
I've
with this
been
friend?
listening to this
Yes, sir. He told me he
podcast,
would,
the investigator
take the
on this
case.
since
Who is he? Who's told?
Alex told me
2021.
he would take the case as long as I translate it
It's
and
crazy.
help him with the details. Because he didn't have anybody in the office that was bilingual, and I agreed.
So she was a transcriptionist, basically.
You were a hot commodity, weren't you? There was a need for translators.
Yes, sir.
So you helped with that case.
That kind of
Yes,
translator.
sir. I did.
Did you assist in other cases with
Yes, sir, I
Alex Murdaugh?
did. At times, Alec would call me and ask him if I could assist in translating or when there were accidents and the folks were injured. And if they were not, if they did not speak the English language, he would ask me to translate.
And were you getting paid for this service?
Yes, sir. He would, it wasn't a set fee. It was just depending on the case, you know, whatever I did, whether it was to get him signed up with a law firm.
Now I'm wondering why her
basically,
testimony
you
is
know,
so
or if I
crucial.
had any,
Like a bunch of people worked
type
there.
of,
She's been more
in the Hispanic
anticipated.
community, when you are in trouble or you're in need of something, and a lot of times those accidents, when they happen in
There's
the
been
area,
more buzz
they are
about
not,
her than his
from
paralegal.
here.
So
The
I'm
language
interested
barrier
as to why.
is a big thing for them. So my instinct was more to make sure that they were well accommodated and they, whatever they needed. So sometimes he would reimburse me for my out-of-pocket whenever I helped the individuals, you know, who were in the accident.
And that went on for a period of time when you were assisting either Alex Murdaugh or the law firm. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did that change into a caregiver, if you will, or respectfully, I don't mean housekeeper or whatever term you'd like to call it, for Maggie Murdaugh?
Yes, sir.
Alex
Alex had called me and
Oh.
said that he was looking for
Now I
personal
get it.
helper in the home. And at that point, real estate wasn't really doing much for me, and so I told her
Now I
couldn't
get
find
it.
anybody. I had asked around, and at that point, I told him, I said, "Well, I'll help her." And he was like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll help her." I said, "It's no big deal to me. It's honest work." So I said that I would help her.
You were clearly qualified.
Yes, sir.
So what did you start doing for
I
either the
would-
Murdaughs or Maggie Murdaugh?
I started helping the other ladies in the house with the cleaning, with running errands, running to the bank for her, whatever she needed me to do.
When did that start, Ms. Blanc?
In 2007.
And
How
were the
long?
two young children, or the two children, Paul and Buster Murdaugh, were they younger? Obviously, they were younger. when you-
Yes, sir, they were young.
And would you have interaction with them and or Alex Murdaugh during this time period?
Yes, sir.
How often were you working for the Murdaughs?
At that point, it was maybe every other day, depending on how often she needed me.
And where was that? Where specifically were you working? Where was their house?
At the house on Holly Street in Hampton.
How long did that go on before you stopped and tell them why you stopped?
I worked there with them on and off, like I said, not on and off, I shouldn't say that. Every 2 to 3 days, you know, or it wasn't a daily thing at that point. Then I did go probably about maybe, I can't recall whether it was a few months later or a couple weeks later. There was an incident at the house, and somebody had tried to burn the house. So that's when I actually went and started helping her more full time, because she had to go through a lot.
Who
of,
tried to burn the house?
a lot of the damages and all that helped her. I helped her document a lot of whatever damages were done from the diesel and stuff that was spilled all throughout the house by the individual.
Maybe I wasn't clear.
Sorry.
Did there come a point where you had some health issues?
Yes, sir. At one point, I suffered a stroke and I had to stop working
What?
and go through rehab for a while.
And what year was that?
Let me search some stuff up.
17 and 18, maybe?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So prior to your stroke and you had to go to rehab, how long did you work for the Murdaughs?
It was a few years by then.
How long were you out after you had your stroke, Blanca?
Maybe almost 4 years.
Did there come a point where you went back and started working with Alex, with the Murdaugh family?
Yes, sir.
And tell this folks when that was.
Shortly after the boating accident, I reached out to Alex and Maggie, and I told them if they needed anything that they could call on me. And at that point, Maggie said that she would like for me to come back if I was able to. So I told her I would. At that point, I was feeling better, so I told her that I would go back. And once I went back, it was like I actually never left.
I was just informed the stroke was in 2015, not 2017. I
Yes, sir.
apologize.
Yes, sir.
So after your recovery, you started working and actually called them, the Murdaugh family, and said, if y'all need anything.
If y'all need anything, I'm here.
I don't think anybody will dispute that was in February of 2019.
Yes, sir.
Time period.
Yes, sir.
So when you went back to work with the family after the boating accident, tell these folks, what were your duties?
So this fire happened in 2009.
I started right back at the same thing. I was helping with the cleaning. I was helping running errands.
Wonder what
I
was going
would
on then.
Cash checks. I would, and what I say by cashing checks for Maggie, sometimes she didn't have time or she was busy doing other things. So she
Remember,
would
this
send me
is
to the bank
before
to cash
mobile
checks,
banking and DoorDash people. So
to pay them.
She
people
had
that
little
that
kids.
She had working
Don't
around
be
the
judgy.
house. The main.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. The maintenance line, that sort of thing, whatever she was doing around the house.
And where were they living, the Murdaugh family, at this point in 2019?
Both places,
Okay, tell the folks where both places.
Moselle and Hampton.
So you're working at both residences?
Yes, sir, both.
Did there come a time where they moved exclusively for the primary residence to, well, where was their primary residence?
Their primary residence was Holly Street, and once they sold the house, they moved straight into Moselle, full-time.
We hadn't heard much about Maggie, I'm limited what I can say in a murder case, but did y'all get fairly close?
Yes, sir.
And when you had quit working for her and you had your stroke, did you ever see her during that time period when you weren't working for her?
Yes, sir. Maggie would, I would see her in town, and she would often signal me to pull over. So we just used to stop sometimes and just talk and see how things were going at the local CVS,
Catch up.
just to catch up and see how everybody was doing.
And prior, when you were working and after, would you, and I'm not asking you to say what, but y'all got close and would talk personal things?
Yes, sir.
What's she gonna say? What's she gonna say?
I'd like for you to go back in your mind now and take this jury back to June 7th, 2021.
Yes, sir.
Um, You were working there for the Murdaughs then?
Yes, sir.
That's a Monday. Do we all know that, June 7th?
Yes, sir.
When had you worked prior to that? At the
At-
Moselle property for them?
Friday.
And at that point, had you seen, what family members did you see at Moselle on Friday, which would have been the June 4th of 2021? Do you remember?
Paul.
And what was your interaction with Paul that day?
Paul walked through the door, his usual self. I was walking out of the laundry room, coming into the kitchen, and Paul came in the front door and he was holding a laundry basket full of clothes. And as he was approaching me, he saw me and he said, "What's up, Miss B?" And I just looked at him. I said, "Boy," I said, "if you got all them dirty clothes and you want me to take care of that," I said, "I'm getting ready to leave." He's like, "Oh, come on, Miss B, you can help me out." He said, "I need them for the weekend." He said, I said, "Well, just pull a couple of them out, what you need, and I'll take care of it." And I ended up staying late to make sure that he had his clothing ready for the weekend.
So did you wash the clothes for the entire family? Was that part of your?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did Paul leave that Friday?
I saw him leave. I don't know whether he was actually gone for the weekend or if he was still.
Did you ever see him again?
No.
It sucks.
Did you have regular hours in June of 2021 that you worked at Moselle for the Murdaugh family?
We weren't really set hours. Maggie was pretty, she was just easygoing. If I had stuff to do, if I had stuff to take care of, she wasn't really too keen on any specific hours. So, you know, if I had a doctor's appointment or if I had anything, she'd be like, "Okay, no," her main comment to me always was, "No worries,
No worries.
no worries."
Well, June 7th specifically, were you scheduled to work at Moselle?
Yes, sir.
And did you have contact with Miss Maggie Murdaugh sometime prior to getting to Moselle that morning?
Yes, sir.
And I think it's in evidence, but tell these folks what contact you had with her.
She texted me and asked me if I could stop at the grocery store on my way to Moselle because Alex wanted some Capri Suns.
Some what?
Capri Suns.
Okay.
And she said apple, and I believe she said pineapple first, and then they changed. She came back with another text and said, "No, he wants orange." I believe that's what he said. That's what the text said. I'm not.
And did you try to get some orange Capri Suns?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
I went to the Food Lion.
And were you successful in your search for
No,
orange Capri Suns?
No, sir.
I'll show you what's marked States 54, Sparka. Excuse me, Defendants 54 for the record. Did you have any other text with Miss Maggie before you got to Moselle?
Good morning, Nikki.
Yes, Maggie told me she had to go to a doctor's appointment. And she said that in the text, Maggie said, "Alec wants me to come home." And she said, and in a phone conversation, she told me, she said, "I left some food in the refrigerator. Is there any way that you can cook? Paul likes the way you cook." So she said, because I don't think I'll be back in time. So I said, yeah, sure. I said, I'll do it. So it was nothing. I finished what I was doing, and then I started cooking, making sure the meal was ready for when Paul and they arrived at home. Well, that afternoon.
So she's gonna.
We had another conversation on the phone where she told me, she said, Alec wants me to come home. She kind of sounded like she didn't want to come home. Because she really liked being at Edisto. And they had a lot of work that was going on, and she was trying to make sure everything was ready for the 4th of July gathering that she was planning. So she was very detail orientated, so she wanted everything perfect. So she was she sounded like she was a little disappointed. And then she said, well, Alec asked Paul to come home too, because he's got to fix the mess up out there that that CB had done.
At CB Road.
Yes, sir. And he said Alec had told Paul to come and fix it because they were planning on having a hunt that weekend. So he wanted everything ready and good to go.
So he'd asked Maggie to come, and then he had asked Alex to come.
That's what
Paul to come.
Paul, that's what Maggie told me over the phone.
And looking at defendants 54, can you read that? Text.
He said, thank you. I'm waiting at Dr. Alex wants me to come home. I had to leave. Door open at Edisto, but trust Mexicans to shut and lock for me. His dad is back in the hospital. The last doctor claims not cancer, it's pneumonia. And then she's got some emojis. She said, Alec is about to die. Hope he doesn't go down there to sleep. Needs to take care of himself as well.
And when she said, I trust the Mexicans to leave the door up, and that didn't bother you.
No, sir.
Okay.
The fuck?
And she said, I guess my question is, you said you didn't think she wanted to.
You're standing in front of the jurors.
I apologize. When you had just testified you didn't think she wanted to come home, was work being done at Edisto?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And did she like being at Edisto?
Yes, sir, she did.
And when would she stay at Edisto?
Any chance she had.
Okay. Where was a time of year that she liked being there more than other times?
Yes, sir. Come around spring, summer. She preferred.
Edisto's a beach house. Edisto's an island.
Was she at Edisto the Sunday night? Do you know? Where was she Sunday night?
Technically.
I'm not sure.
All speculation, unless she knows.
She can answer if she knows.
I'm not sure.
Were you on schedule June 7th time-wise? Were you running late? What time were you supposed to be there?
I didn't have a set time to be there.
After you and Maggie talked and texted, did you go to Moselle?
Yes, I did.
And when you got there, was Maggie there?
No, sir. She had just left.
Was Paul there?
No.
Was defendant Alex Murdaugh there?
Yes, he was.
Okay. When you walked in the house, was he up?
No, sir. He was in bed.
He was in bed. Based on the time you spent there and your experience with the defendant Alex Murdaugh, was he a morning person?
No, sir.
No. How long were you there working before you saw Alex Murdaugh? That morning on June 7th of 21?
Probably a couple hours.
And can you tell these folks, did there come a point that morning where he left the house? Alex Murdaugh, did he leave and go to work or
Yes,
wherever?
he did.
Okay. And can you tell them what he was wearing, Alex Murdaugh, best of your memory, when he left Moselle?
He had a pair of khaki pants, a greenish, I call it seafoam color, polo shirt, and he put a sports coat, a blue sports coat over it. And he put his shoes on, which were usually right there next to a dresser that they had right there in the living room area. That's where his shoes used to go, right there. So he just used to kind of slide his shoes on.
Probably not the
Way out
same
the
as a
door.
raincoat, but still.
Do you remember what type of shoes he had on June 7th, 2021, when he left?
His regular work shoes, the brown, it was a pair of brown leather shoes.
Was it a long sleeve shirt or a short sleeve shirt he left on?
The polo's a short sleeve shirt.
And staying out of everybody's view, do you remember anything specifically about that shirt?
As he put his coat on, he was putting his shoes on and he was putting his coat on. And he was getting ready to walk out. He turned around and I said, Alec, I said, hold on a minute. I said, your collar's sticking up. So he turned around and I fixed his collar inside his jacket because one collar was sticking up.
So you actually helped, I'm sorry, but you helped move his shirt?
Yeah, yes, I did.
Okay.
And you said it was a long or short sleeve, I'm sorry.
That polo is a short sleeve.
And did it have buttons on part of it or you know?
Just from here to here.
And was it a blue blazer?
It
On
was,
top of it?
it was a dark color.
You put a tie on? He didn't have a tie with that on.
A
No,
tie.
sir.
I'm just.
He said it weird. They have town, they have town.
Now, Miss Maggie had asked you to fix dinner for the family. Did you do that?
I did.
Can you tell them what you made?
She called it steak burger, but it's cube steak and gravy, some white rice and some green beans.
You go cook, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
Did you see or talk to Maggie ever again after this text or this phone call?
Before I left Moselle, I texted her and I said, the dinner was on I believe I texted to the effect that I left dinner on the stove for them. And, that I can't really remember the text, but I did text her and let her know that the dinner was ready and that I was leaving.
And you said one of her phrases she used is no worries. Had she said that to you that day?
Yes.
When was that?
I can't remember.
You got a family of your own, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you, when you left Moselle, what did you do?
Pick up my son at school.
And your husband's working,
Yes,
law
sir.
enforcement?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. When you got home that night, did anybody call you that night?
No,
When did you hear about the murder at Moselle of Paul and Maggie Murdaugh?
the next morning when I was getting ready to go out there.
The next morning.
Yes, sir.
How did you hear?
Alex called me.
And what did he tell you? He didn't call, he called you the next morning.
He called me early the next morning.
And what did he say to you?
He sounded shaky on the phone. You could tell he was, his voice sounded really shaky. And he said, B, they're gone. They're gone. And that my initial thought was, did she go back to Edisto? That thought didn't cross my mind that he meant that they were dead at that time.
You just didn't comprehend what
No,
was
sir,
going
I
on?
did not. So he told me again, he said, no, B, they're dead. And at that point, I don't remember because I believe I dropped the phone. My husband got the phone. I don't remember after that.
You literally dropped the phone.
Yes.
And did your husband get on the phone?
I don't,
Okay.
I don't remember. I don't remember. All I remember is when he said that they were dead. I dropped the phone. And I believe I said, I'll be right over. I'll be right over. But
Did he, the defendant Alex Murdaugh, tell you which way to go when you got to the house?
he said him and Buster were at Almeda. So I told him I was going to Almeda. You know, I wanted to make sure they were okay. And so I went from my house to Almeda. And then when I got ready to leave Almeda, he said, well, when you go to the house, go in the front because there's a lot of sled agents by the kennels. You can't go in that way. And he said, just try to straighten up the way Maggie liked everything, you know, in the house. He said, you knew her the best. He said, you know how she likes stuff. So
That's
I did.
weird, is it not?
So you went to
Worried
I went
about
to-
straightening up.
Almeda to start with.
Yes, I did, to check on my Buster and Alex.
Sasha, stop.
To comfort him.
Yes, sir.
And at his request, you went to Moselle to start cleaning up and getting the house in order?
Yes, sir. He said there was going to be people probably stopping by and bringing food and stuff. He said, I just want the house to look the way Maggie would like for it to look. So I said, okay. And I went to the house.
Weird.
Did you have a usual way that you went in to Moselle, entrance wise?
From the house, I would, if I was coming from my house, I would come in on the, I call it the Miley's side. So I would actually enter the property through the kennels. And if I was coming from Hampton or if I, you know, in the other direction, then I would use the front entrance. But normally I use the kennel entrance coming from my house.
When you got to Moselle, we're now on the morning of June 8th, right? 2021.
Yes, sir.
Did you see anybody in the property before you got to the main house?
No, sir.
And when you got to the main house, take us right there. Like right now, as you're walking in the house, what were your observations?
It was hard because I know she wasn't going to be coming back. And I didn't want to move. I didn't want to move her stuff.
Yeah, it's a really odd thing to be focused on and to ask someone.
It was just a weird feeling going through when I unlocked the front door again.
Ask someone who also loved them to go in and
It felt cold.
start dealing with stuff. Start personal items.
I did.
What'd you do when you got inside?
Like ball their eyes out.
When I got inside, I didn't turn on any lights. I didn't do anything. I walked through the front door and I went in the kitchen. And I was kind of, when I looked in the kitchen, I kind of just stopped in my tracks and I looked at the stove and I was kind of, I don't know what the word is. When I looked and I noticed the stove, that there was no pots on the stove, it was kind of unusual because usually when they ate dinner the night before, the pots usually stayed on the stove. Very, very seldom would she put, you know, certain meals in the refrigerator. A lot of times it was just left on the stove until the next day. And the pots were not in the sink and they were not on the stove. And then as I walked through, if you walk through the kitchen, like you're going to, from the kitchen, if you walk through the kitchen, if you go to the left, there's two freezer and a refrigerator, and the laundry room sat right there to the left. There's a back door to the back porch, and then there's the laundry room door. They're both right there. And as I turned to go to the laundry room, I noticed that her pajamas were in the middle of the doorway, right in the middle, laid neatly in the middle of the doorway going into the laundry room. It was her pajama pants, a pair of underwear, and her pajama top.
Was that unusual?
That was very unusual.
Wow.
Because she wouldn't lay her clothes out like that, not in the middle of the door like that. It just didn't look right to me.
And you took care of the house.
Yes,
You took care of the clothes.
yes.
And not to get too personal, but sometimes you can't help it. Were the underwear there with the pajamas unusual?
Yes.
Why?
She didn't wear underwear with her pajamas.
No underwear with pajamas. But that struck you.
No underclothes with the pajamas.
But that struck you as unusual. They were there with the pajamas.
Yes, sir, because the underwear appeared to be clean, not dirty. They still had like fold marks.
And the pots, and I may have just missed it. You said, where would the pots end up when you found them?
After I looked at the pajamas on the floor, the way that they were set, I turned around and I said, well, I wonder where the pots are. So I opened the refrigerator door, and the pots were sitting inside the refrigerator with lids on them. And I was like, who did this? I don't know at that point, but that was not normal for the whole pot to be sitting in the fridge.
Did you make any other observations in the house, the bathroom, or anywhere else?
In the master bathroom was her clothes were sitting next to the tub. It was a small pile of clothes right there next to the tub. And by the shower, if you walk in the master bedroom, there's a big garden tub, spa type tub. And then right here is the shower, and there's a window. On the floor next to the shower was a slight puddle of water, a towel, and a pair of khaki pants. And then as I went to the left to see if there was anything else that was out, I looked in the closet, and in the closet was a white damp towel on the floor, and there was I'm pretty sure the t-shirt was white at one time, but they get kind of dingy after a few years. But that it appeared that a t-shirt had fallen off of the stack of t-shirts that were on top of the shelf right there in the closet. It was laying on the floor next to the towel.
When you took care of the home, was that, tell us how the clothes were laid out, the shirts, the shorts, were you saying up on a shelf, or the shirts? How were they?
In the closet, there was a shelf. There was some shelves, smaller shelves right here. And then there was some long ones. Maggie used to keep her clothes on these. And then there was a shorter one, kind of like little box looking, Alex used to keep his clothes, his belts and stuff in that. And then on top, there was also an area where he kept t-shirts. They were folded and they were kept on the shelf.
When you say t-shirts, I know what a t-shirt is, but I mean, were they t-shirts like I'm wearing right now? Were they t-shirts with pockets?
It was usually they would be t-shirts, like if they would go, like when you go to a restaurant and they have like the logo of those type of t-shirts. He had a big collection of those.
And would you put them on the shelf?
Yes, sir, I did.
Did you iron t-shirt?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you washed all the clothes?
Yes, I did.
Did he have a certain place that he kept shorts versus long pants?
Yes, sir. When you walk in the master bedroom, when you enter the master bedroom, the bed was right here. At the foot of the bed, you had a dresser here and a dresser here. The right dresser on the top drawers were usually his underwear, his socks. The next drawer was his t-shirts. On the bottom drawer were the pajama pants that he would wear or his shorts that he would wear to sleep in. In the left drawer, and one sits on this side of the door going into the bathroom, and the other one's right here. On the left dresser, he kept his white t-shirts that he would wear under when he wore a suit. He would wear, the t-shirts were in one of those drawers. And then the other two drawers were shorts, the dressier shorts, and then the not so dressier shorts, that.
So you testified a shirt looked like it had fallen when you saw it this morning?
Yes, sir.
June 8th, 2021, okay. Was it still clean?
Yes, sir.
Did you put it back?
Yes, sir.
My boss, Don Zelenka, just reminded me that the food that you cooked, did you look and see how much was eaten in the pots?
No, sir, I did not.
Now, you said there was a damp towel. Where was that?
In the closet on the floor.
And I know what damp means, but when you touched it, did it feel?
It was damp.
What did you do with it?
Took it to the laundry room.
And you said there were some pants there.
Yes, sir. There's a pair of khakis by the shower.
And what'd you do with those?
Took them to the laundry room.
Did you wash them?
Yes, sir.
Can we go to the?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's stand for a moment. Please do not discuss the case. Please do not discuss your testimony. We'll take about 10 minutes.
Okay, now I'm going to read what they were talking about, the Hampton, when she was discussing that she, they had several residents. One was in Hampton, and that house, someone had tried to set on fire. So this article is from Bluffton Today from July 9th, 2009. Make sure I'm unmuted. I am. Local and state police are still searching for a suspect in connection with an apparent arson attempt at the home of a local attorney. Firefighters responded to a reported structure fire at the home of Alec Murdaugh at 515 Holly Street Extension around 7:30 Friday morning. While the fire was quickly extinguished, evidence at the scene has prompted an arson investigation, said Hampton Police Chief Perry McElhaney. I think that's how people pronounce that. We suspect that sometime Thursday night or Friday morning, someone spread some kind of accelerant around the house and tried to set it on fire from the back door, said McElhaney. Luckily, for some reason, it didn't spread through the house, and the only thing that burned was the floor mat. They said that as of Wednesday morning, the incident is still under investigation by Hampton Police Departments with assistance from the state law enforcement SLED, their arson team, the Hampton County Sheriff's Office, and the Barnville Police Department. I wonder what was happening around that time. It sounds like it has someone's name all over it. I can't find anything written where they solved that. I think I just kicked myself out. Sorry. Hit a wrong tab. Let's see if I can still share the screen for when they come back. I went on a huge rant when I first started streaming. Just angry and bitter and want to stab people in the eye with pool noodles. Just reading what things people have said, like on TikTok and yada, yada, yada. A young woman had posted, like going to the trial on my day off. Someone in her comment section was like, why are you doing this? I can't, and you're making this for content. Like, I can't believe that you would take someone's death, and why are you doing this on your day off? How pathetic of you, something to that degree. And she's like, well, yeah, because it's my day off and not yours. I wrote my rant on that. It is all of our civic right to be able to attend trials. As I've gotten older, which happens every day, I feel more of a duty, if you will, to myself, not really to anybody else, but myself, to become more informed of how things operate that affect my family's life. I'm ignorant to a lot of it. Hell, this whole Murdaugh thing has made me ignorant to, I didn't know certain things, and I'm going to get it wrong. Like the solicitor, I didn't know that they were elected. I believe maybe some judges are even elected. So it's kind of like a tangled web of judges almost wanting to do what attorneys want and vice versa, because you're going to directly affect whether or not I'm elected to these positions I want. Our civic right is that these things are public so that we can see what's going on. Not just from a gossip standpoint, all this, although this is quite captivating. It's from a point of, okay, that judge isn't doing what they're supposed to. Okay, whatever. Let's go to the next city council meeting. Part of the reason why we're in the position that we are with this family is because people have gone unchecked for so long. I don't think it should be like a shameful thing to attend a trial if you don't have a direct connection to it. Especially because this girl lives in this town. She lives in this town. So it would be even far different than if I went, like I've said that I wanted to. It's 3 freaking hours away, so I just don't think there's any way. But I want to because I'm interested in what goes on during the breaks, what goes on at the food trucks, who's talking to whom, not even related to the specifics of this trial, but just South Carolina politics in general. We have representatives there. We have attorney generals there. We have a lot there. And again, awkwardly, yesterday at the playground, talking to another parent, I've got my earbuds in, kind of listening to the trial, pick my child up after school, got a playground right there at the school. A lot of people who pick their kids up, we all go to the playground for a little while after. So I'm listening to it a little bit. I've got it low enough where I'm still talking to people. And at one point I had to do the volume or whatever. And I explained to whom I was talking to, yeah, I'm also listening to the trial. And they're like, oh, what trial? I said, the trial. And they're like, oh, the trial. Yeah, my husband knows all those attorneys. He knows all those people down there. I have met Paul before. He was a nice boy. And then I was like, oh. And I feel like she was feeling me out and I was feeling her out. Like, I was feeling out like, are you comfortable talking about this? And you could tell she wasn't. And we kind of awkwardly looked at our phones for a little bit. We're like, yeah, it's real crazy. But so I didn't push that anymore. But I'm surprised at how unaware people are that things are connected. People elected to local government affect your everyday life. No one's without issue, but this family has generations of corruption. Who are tied to my state government that makes decisions about me and my home and my family. I think if every South Carolina resident could be there, we should. And I don't think there should be any shame on attending a trial. And when the commenter, oh, why are you oh my gosh, this is so disgusting. There are actual victims. You're doing this for content. Do you realize that the news does this for content? They get paid to cover these things. That's not even why this chick was doing this. She was just sharing her experience. It's not like she was an influencer or whatever. I need to run and go get my charger. My computer's dying. But I think it's despicable how people are being treated online. for talking about this or saying they want to attend the trial. Again, sure, it's captivating and interesting. We're all watching it. What's the difference in someone freaking watching this stuff online and then attending the trial? What is the difference? Absolutely nothing other than you're there in the flesh or you're not. It's the same thing. If you have a problem with someone being in the audience of the trial, then you shouldn't watch it online either. And you shouldn't comment on it because then obviously you know what's going on. So why are you talking about it? Because you're watching it too, hypocrite. Pool noodle in the eye for you as well. But yeah, other than that, it again, the whole reason the public is allowed to attend things like city council meetings, trials, is not only to know about the specifics of those accused, the victims, the details of the trial, but it's also so that we are able to monitor our judicial system and if it's operating as we voted that it should. Man, I wish you did live close so we could go together. I don't know. Again, so many people, I was a lot more heated when I first started this morning. Let's see. Nikki says there is, however, an attorney with a YouTube channel that has been attending and making a mockery of it. He did the same thing with the death trial. I think that's where people get upset, and rightfully so. I agree to that as well. Because this isn't entertainment. It happens to be entertaining, but it's not entertainment. The victims should be respected. The people involved should be respected. Unfortunately, Alex should be treated innocent until he's found guilty. But not unfortunately. I just think he's guilty, so I don't give a shit. But technically, he should be treated as he's guilty until proven it. Nope. Freudian slip. He should be treated as if he's innocent until proven guilty. I don't know. I also, just my own personal rant, think people should maybe pull off their damn opinion so much when they don't understand the culture. I don't think someone knows everything just because they're an attorney. It's also weird to me that someone would know about something for so long and just jumps on the bandwagon because it's a popular case. Only because it's a popular case. Because maybe people were emailing or discussing it in comments and everything years ago when they were covering the Girardi case and be like, if you think this is crazy. And then, I don't know. I just don't like people right now. I really don't. Yeah. Oh. It's one thing to me when I think it's that this person's opinion is so negative toward prosecution and negative and speaking on things that they don't have the whole connection to the story and being kind of snotty about it. Like, shut up, stop talking, shut up, oh my God, get to the point, da da da. Like, okay, I liken it to this. I don't know how to explain this well. They're coming back. I liken to, you should probably shut your face because you know what the prosecution is trying to do. And you're a person whose opinion people will respect because of your former career.
You may bring the jury.
Always find it weird when, like, for instance, my husband's in the military, and when I see other people bitching about certain parts of the military to a civilian and explaining it wrong, it irritates me because I'm like, bitch, you know that's not how it is. You can have a problem with it, but tell the real story. And again, I don't mean to be all, you can't sit here, but if you don't live here, the culture is different everywhere. Culture is different in, I don't know, California than it is here. The nuances. I just learned from someone that when people are heated in an argument, one person saying I don't fight doesn't necessarily mean they're trying to back off. So certain things said can have a different meaning. And if you're from a culture, an area, whatever, you understand. So I feel like this person is irresponsibly giving their opinion. And that's my opinion. And maybe I deserve a pool noodle to the eye, but I don't have any and you're not here. So I'm going to mute myself and go upstairs and get my charger so I can bitch some more.
Thank you. You may proceed. Mr. Arcudi and Mr. Waters, if you all would be seated.
Oh, sorry.
Ms. Simpson,
Yes, sir.
I think where we left off, let me kind of try to refocus myself. I'm going to show you what's entered as state 7. Can you see those pins in state 7?
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize those
I can't
pins?
hear your response.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize those pants in state 7?
Yes.
Not the same clothes he had when law enforcement arrived on scene. Not the
You
same
cleaned
shoes
them?
either.
Yes, sir.
Where were these pants kept in state 7?
The left dresser and the third
And for
drawer.
anybody joining,
Third or
this
fourth
is
drawer.
someone
They
who
weren't-
did,
they
like,
weren't in the ones
her name's
where,
Blanca. She did miscellaneous.
He had one
help
drawer with
for
shorts
Maggie.
that he would usually wear on the weekends.
At
you know,
all
the
of their
dressier ones. Those
residents.
were kept in the drawer underneath that specific drawer.
She did their
Do you know
laundry,
what drawers these were
cooking
in?
when they needed it.
Yes.
And she was there the morning of the murders
If you know from being there and taking care of the clothes.
and the
taking care
morning
of the family,
after
were these-
at Alex's request.
These shorts you like to wear a lot or not?
I believe that's kind of what she's
Did you see any of these
describing now.
shorts much?
No.
And were these shorts clean the last time you saw them?
Yes.
Now, this shirt that's also in States 7, had you seen that shirt before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where was this shirt kept in the closet at Moselle?
The top shelf, above where his clothes hang, the top shelf. There was a shelf up there.
And you testified it looked like a shirt had fallen from that shelf when you got there on the morning of June 8th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was this shirt kept in that same place as the shirt that had fallen?
Yes, sir.
And the shirt that had fallen, what did you do with it after you picked it up?
I folded it back up and I placed it back on the shelf.
Was it clean?
Yes, sir.
I understand that you all are apparently having a personal conversation, but you need to speak into the mic.
Yes, sir.
Look at me this way, I'm sorry. Had you cleaned this shirt that's in State 7 prior to June 7th of 2021?
I probably did.
And where would it have been placed after you cleaned it? Where would you have put it?
Up in the closet if there was no more room in the drawer.
Now, could we please play States 306, please? Can you see, would you look right there at your monitor? Is there a picture of that when Mr. Bunk? Okay, freeze it right there.
Yes, sir.
Now, this, who's in the picture?
Alex,
And can you tell what kind of pants he's got on?
khaki pants.
Okay. Can you tell what kind of shoes he's got on from that, Miss Simpson?
It appears to be a pair of loafers,
Loafers.
house shoes, loafers.
Okay, well, tell me what you mean by house shoes.
Just his shoes that he would usually wear around the house if he was wearing shoes.
Like chanclas, like slippers.
So would he usually just wear them inside?
Yes, sir.
But these appear to be those shoes.
It appears to be, yes.
And this shirt that Alex Murdaugh is wearing on June 7th, depicted in States 306, had you seen that shirt prior to June 7th?
It was in the closet,
Okay. And what type of shirt is that?
the Columbia shirt.
Columbia shirt.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And how many of those type shirts did he have?
He had a few in the closet,
And what color is that shirt?
just like a greenish aqua seafoam color.
Why do you keep using the term seafoam? I'm not fussing, I'm just asking.
The term seafoam, when Maggie was looking at different color palettes to paint, that color came up in one of the color palettes. So we would refer to it as a seafoam. But that's the term that was used for that color in one of the color palettes that she had.
After June 7th of 2021, did you ever see that shirt again?
No, sir. There was like a pink one, a white one, a baby blue in the closet. I do not remember that shirt being in there.
And on June 8th of 2021, in the morning hours when you came back over there, was that shirt there?
No, sir.
Were these shoes that you called house slippers, were those there?
No, sir.
Did you ever see those house shoes again?
No, sir.
And where did he usually keep them?
In the closet.
This kind of explains where those clothes were. Everybody
Did he
thought
have
like
any other
his
types
original
of
clothes. There were theories that he buried them with his father, but I
canvas
guess it
or
turns out they were
any
there
kind of
all
boat
along.
shoes?
How
He had a lot of
did
shoes in
sled
the closet.
miss that?
Do you remember
Or
any
why
shoes
did
that were
sled miss
canvas
that?
type shoes?
The boat shoes, like the Sperry.
Spirit shoes?
Yes, sir.
And do you
That hurt
remember
my
those?
neck.
Yes, sir. They used to sit in the closet.
They used to sit in the closet. After June 7th of 2021, did you ever see the Sperry boat shoes again?
No, sir, I do not recall seeing them in the closet.
Never, ever.
No, sir.
Just respecting his theories. I have boots. Because I'm old.
Did you stay on and work?
What was
for a
that?
period
I
of
just got
time
like 87
for
Discord
Alex Murdaugh
messages.
at the Moselle?
Yes, sir, I did.
And did your day-to-day functions change after June 7th as far as Moselle itself?
Yes, sir, they did.
Well, tell them how that happened and what the change was.
After Maggie and Paul were killed, Alec did not stay on the property. On the 10th, when I believe his father passed away, after
Mr.
the,
Murdaugh.
yes, I believe after the service that we had for him at the cemetery, Alec called and asked if my husband and I would stay on the property because him and Buster were not going to be able to stay there. So we agreed to take care of the property and maintain it while he said until he decides what he's going to do with it.
And did in fact you and your husband start residing there for a period of time?
We did.
And what, were you paid for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you mind telling them how much?
He would give me $1,500 a week to make sure that anything needed for the farm was taken care of. And my husband and I would maintain cutting the grass on that property, which is a lot of grass out there. And it would take in excess of 2 days to cut.
Would you cut it?
Yes, sir. I would help my husband.
You know that
You
had
also
national
taking care of the
attention. That's a
dogs?
weird thing.
Yes, sir.
So he
These
wasn't
folks,
only
what were the
asked them
dogs'
to
names?
take care of that,
Grady
he asked them
and
to like
Bubba.
Grady and
ward
Bubba.
off people and deal with that.
Yes, sir.
You
Weird.
fed them?
Yes, sir.
Took care of them?
Yes, sir.
Where is Bubba? What's today?
I could be
Whatever the day is.
being
Where's
my
Bubba
ornery
today?
self. I find everything's weird at this point. I'm weird, but we all knew that.
So you have Bubba in your home.
Yes, sir, I do.
Did Bubba have his own pen?
Yes, he did.
And I don't know if you've seen, but could, at some point, and I'll keep going to the video of, well, could we play that now, please, so we can get it to the video, the kennel video, please? Was it?
And another thing, this person going on and on about
Before
why
we
are
get
they
there,
saying so many details.
And I'm sorry, I'm
Um,
going back to this real quick.
You're
Is
trying
that the
to
shirt he left
eliminate
for the office in
the
that day?
defense
No,
questioning
sir.
things. That attorney should know that. Filling all the holes.
Have you ever seen Bubba with an animal in
Eliminating
his
doubt.
mouth?
Yes, sir.
All right, tell them about that, please, ladies and gentlemen.
When Bubba was running around, if I or anybody, if the chickens were running out of the coop, he would chase the chickens and he would just go after the chickens or the guineas, whatever was out there.
And would you ever catch him?
Yes, he would.
And how would the chicken get out of Bubba's mouth? And
You have to make several attempts to get the chicken out of his mouth, and at points he would growl at you if you tried to take his toy. Basically that's what he.
in your experience in being there, was it easier for a family member or somebody Bubba knew to get the chicken out?
If he's stubborn, Yes, sir.
Okay. But would it take a period of time to get the chicken out of Hubba's mouth?
Yes, it would.
In August of 2021, Ms. Blanca,
Yes, sir.
did you have a conversation with Alex Murdaugh about a shirt?
Yes, I did.
And let's go back. Where did this take place?
At the little house.
All right. What do you mean the little house?
After Paul and Maggie were killed, Alec was not staying at Moselle. My husband and I were, and he would often stay in different places. But all his clothes and toiletries and everything were placed in the house that sits between Mr. Johnny Parker and his brother Randy. There's a small 2-bedroom house right there, and that's where all his belongings at the time went.
And where is that located?
In Hampton.
Okay, Hampton. And who furnished this little house with clothes and toiletries and made sure stuff was there?
I did.
And who was Alex Murdaugh staying there with when he stayed there? If anybody?
He never stayed there. He would just go and get his clothing and eat
Where did he stay
whatever,
then?
you know, if he would have a snack or something. He wasn't really eating.
Well, during the month of August, do you remember him having a conversation with you about a shirt?
Yes, sir.
Did you find that to be unusual?
Yes, sir.
Tell them what the conversation was and why you found it unusual. Please.
He walked in to the little house, and I was getting ready to leave, and he said, "B, I need to talk to you." And he said, "Come here, sit down." So I went in the living room. I sat down, and he was pacing back and forth in the living room. And he said, "I got a bad feeling." He said, "I got a bad feeling." He said, "Something's not right." And then he said, "Well, you know, there's a video. There was a video that was out. I hadn't seen a video." And he said, "You remember the shirt I was wearing, that Vinnie Vine shirt?" That's what he said to me. And in my mind, I was saying, I don't remember a Vinnie Vine's shirt. It was the polo shirt, but I didn't mention. He said, "Well, you know what? I was wearing that shirt." He said, "You know, in the that day." And still, I was just, I didn't say anything, but I was kind of thrown back because I don't remember that. I don't remember him wearing that shirt that day when he left. I know what shirt he was wearing because I fixed the collar, and the collar's different material.
That's why it was so significant.
I don't know what a Vinnie Vine shirt is. But when he left that day, was he wearing a Vinnie Vine shirt? Or was he wearing the collar you described?
It was a polo shirt.
Just using your common sense, that it appeared to you he was trying to tell you to say, I was wearing a shirt.
Objection is sustained. That's the formal question.
How did you take that conversation?
I felt like I felt confused at first, and then I know what he was wearing the day he left the house, and I was basically confused. I didn't really know whether he was trying to get me to say that shirt, if I was to be asked that if that was a shirt he was wearing the day.
Why would he mention a video? Now I understand why her testimony Screw you, StreamYard. Now I understand why her testimony was so anticipated. It's probably not correct grammar, but what is nothing that comes out of my mouth?
I'll show you what's marked 455, 457 for ID only. Do you recognize these, and do they relate to your testimony?
I
without
love
saying what
glasses
they are?
like that and connect together.
Yes,
On September 4th of 2021, did you have a conversation with defendant Alex Murdaugh?
I did.
Okay. And what did he ask you to do?
He asked me to send him copies, send him a photo of the insurance cards.
And do you know what day of the week that was? I'll go back here so you don't, I'm sorry.
I don't remember the day. All I know was it's on my phone.
He asked you to send him a copy of his medical card?
Oh, it was on a Saturday morning because the next day was my daughter's birthday. That early that morning when he called me, he asked me, when I sent him the picture of the plastic insurance card, he said, no, I need the cardboard one. Well, the cardboard one was in Maggie's purse. It wasn't in the area where I usually kept the cards in the cabinet. So I told him, I said, it's in Maggie's purse. He said, well, go ahead and get the cards and send me a picture of them. And I asked him if he was okay. And he said, well, I'm just getting some routine exams done. He said, and I need the number so I could go ahead and schedule these appointments. And it was a Saturday because I was thinking, where's he gonna go to get appointments done on a Saturday? But I didn't say anything. I went and I took pictures and I sent him all the copies of the cards that I found.
Was this in September?
First of all, he consulted with me about this as he walked up to me a moment ago. I don't quite understand the relevance. Why him asking for.
They're getting there. Shut up.
I'm sorry. If he would just consult with me for a moment and tell me what the relevance is, but he hadn't told me.
With your permission?
Why does he have to tell him?
Sorry, Your Honor, we sort of just talked surprise.
Sorry, I just don't know. I'm so helpless. I'm just an ignorant country person.
Without objection.
Reserving our previously made objections.
Dick.
Objection.
Literally.
What previous objection? You said
The
reserving
previous
your previous
I
objection.
apologize. I'm so used to saying that.
You should apologize.
I had no previous made objection to this document concerning this issue. I apologize.
Did it without objection.
455. I'll stand right here, okay? Were you texting with Alex Murdaugh about sending these cards?
Yes, I was.
And that's the text, and is that his medical card you sent him a picture of?
One of the medical cards I sent him a picture of, yes.
Please listen to me carefully and don't go any farther than my answer asked, okay?
Yes, sir.
After this date, September 4th of 2021, did you and your husband quit living at Murdaugh?
We did.
A couple other questions, and I know everybody glad I'm sitting down. In addition to cleaning the house, did you ever look at Maggie's Mercedes to try to clean it afterwards?
I did.
What if anything you found?
As I was cleaning the vehicle, removing her,
Give us a date or at least a range of days.
It's fair.
that was about a week after.
Okay. After the murders? When did you, do you remember when you cleaned her car?
I I cleaned the car when they asked me to pick it up from the the impound sheriff's department.
And who asked you to pick it up?
Randy and his wife had dropped off Paul's truck and they were getting ready to leave to go out of town. So he asked if my husband and I could go pick up the Mercedes from the impound and bring it back to the house.
And did you clean it after that?
I did.
And what did you find, if anything?
Well, she still had paint for the Edisto house that she was trying to touch up some areas at the house, and she had some pillows that she was gonna return. And as I moved the seat to clean, to vacuum underneath the driver's side seat, I found her ring.
Or what?
Her ring. Her wedding band.
Now, did Maggie, based on your time with her experience, like being at Moselle by herself?
No.
And leading up to the murders, was she anxious about anything?
She had a conversation with me. She had a conversation with me a few months prior. I walked in the house and Maggie said, "Hey, Blanc," she said, "I got to talk to you. I got something to tell you." And so she said, "Let me make some coffee." And she went and made a pot of coffee. She made me a cup. She made herself a cup, and we went. She said, "Let's go talk." And we went into the hunting room, and she closed the door because Alec was sleeping in the bedroom, which is on the other side of the house, but she closed the door. When Maggie closed the door,
Your side.
Response?
Judge, I think, was she anxious about money issues?
Your Honor, I object
Well, I
to,
know you objected, and
but he is.
I understand your objection. Well, I don't care what you're doing. There's an objection to the previous question. The objection is sustained. While entertaining the objection, you cannot pose another question. The objection is sustained.
I apologize.
Yes, sir.
Judge said, "I don't care what you're doing." You're good, Nikki. No problem. No problem.
Your Honor, I hesitate, but this is a matter that needs to be put on the record.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're having go to the jury room. Please not discuss the case.
I had heard rumors for a while going around. I think even the Murdaugh Murder podcast discussed this. That supposedly Maggie was wanting to divorce Alec. And I think that's what she's getting ready to say. Where does this lie? This is a very gray area. It is hearsay, but it's hearsay to the victim. The victim can't come.
Yes, sir. Everyone will be seated.
This is a sticky situation.
Yes.
Because technically, Monica could be saying anything.
Conversation.
She could be making something up.
But I objected, knowing where he was going, which was, and in that same interview, by the way, that she gave about his statement where Maggie said that she was concerned about money, she also indicated Maggie was never concerned about money. Either way, it's hearsay. He said before Your Honor ruled, was she concerned about money or wasn't she concerned about money? He testified, which is to hearsay. I would move for mistrial. I think it's unduly prejudicial based on the last 3 weeks we've heard of financial misconduct on the part of the defendant. I would move for mistrial. I would move that it's not mistrial because I don't think, even if you give the jury an instruction, you can't unring the bell. You can't correct that. And now I've had to draw attention to it, even more so by objecting to it. He knew that was wrong. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Meadows.
that question. I don't have to say it.
Well, we're not here about apologies. Go ahead.
And I can't help it.
Yes, sir.
Judge, under 803,
I should have brought to the
this
court's
judge.
attention first, 8033, we think this would be admissible hearsay exception, then existing mental, emotional, or physical condition. The statement of the parent's then existing state of mind, emotion, sensation, or physical condition. We think it fits under that rule, how she was, and that's all I was going to list. That's it. I won't go, and hearsay was coming out a little bit there. A lot of hearsay's come out, Mr. Conrad. I wasn't objecting, it just was rolling. I wasn't trying to plan that far ahead.
Don't admit to
but I
that,
do
dude.
think respectfully it comes in under, we'd like you to consider it under 8033, Judge. And that's what I should have said before I asked the question. Again, for the record, say I'm sorry.
Don't say I'm sorry. He said, shut up.
8033, the following are not excluded by the hearsay rule, even though the declarant is available as a witness. A statement of the declarant's then existing state of mind, emotion, sensation, or physical condition, such as intent, plan, motive, design, mental feelings, pain, and bodily health, but not including a statement of memory or belief to prove the fact remembered or believed, unless it relates to the execution, revocation, identification, or terms of declarant's will. Ms. Harper?
Obviously, Your Honor, I don't think that's covered by 803.
Why not?
Well, because it's the declarant's. Maybe we need to ask her exactly what she said before we rule on it. The only testimony we've heard on that point is his.
A question, then an objection, and then another question while the court was listening to your objection.
Yes.
So we'll have a proffer of this testimony and see where it's going.
Thank you, Murdaugh. Anxious if anything related to this murder that she expressed to you.
Yes, sir.
Please tell the judge what it was.
She was worried because a lawsuit had been presented stating that they wanted $30 million. Maggie was crying. Maggie said, we don't have that kind of money, Blanc. And that's what she used to call me. She said, we don't have that. She said, if I could give them everything that I got and make this go away, she said, I would do it in a heartbeat. She said, I'll start over. We'll start over. She said, I just want it gone.
We're listening to a proffer. Go ahead.
Would that be instead of that long, would that be like money issues that she was worried about?
The money issues dealing with the lawsuit.
And that's all I was going to offer. I asked for money issues. I wasn't looking to even go in detail on what she said there. That long conversation.
Yes, sir.
I don't quite understand how this fits into first the what you allowed in under 403, 404B, and raised gesture.
I actually think that's fair, even though I like hearing it.
It is her perception that the lawsuit, for $30 million, putting financial stress on her. There's not any. She's not relating that Alice has any stress on him. He's the one on trial. Her perception that the $30 million is making her, is concerning her.
True and fair.
She's not accused. That is, Maggie Murdaugh is not the defendant here. There's no connecting it to the defendant. I don't understand not only is it hearsay, it's not relevant to the issue being litigated here. Her state of mind on financial issues.
I thought they were going more for
how that relates.
she wanted to leave him, but.
Anything further?
No, sir.
We've had testimony elicited by the defense throughout the trial from witnesses portraying the family as a loving and happy marriage. Question posed to Mr. Gibson, I believe it was, and to the other friend of Paul's and Buster's, as to whether the family was
Meaning
anxious,
the defense
didn't
asked
have
us.
any concerns or issues going on at the time. And I find that this testimony properly responds to that testimony, and the objection is overruled. Anything else?
That's interesting.
All right,
I'm grateful, but I
take a
disagree.
1 minute stretch before the jury comes back.
Stretch it out, ooh, 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 stretch it out, ooh, ooh, ooh. Again, I had heard rumors. There was rumors that there was some text message that she had sent to somebody saying that she wanted to leave him. But apparently that's not what it wasn't a text message. And apparently it sounds like it was a conversation between Blanca and Maggie regarding being nervous about the boat crash. That is interesting though. And maybe does kind of set up for motive from other things that I've read online. Maggie saying that, she could give them everything she had and make this all go away. She'd start over, she'd start from nothing. So if that's not what Alec wanted to do, could it be that his solution was to get rid of somebody who disagreed? I, again, read a comment somewhere of a rumor that Maggie was trying to get Paul to take a plea deal, and Alec was not happy with that. Also, that the majority of these properties were in Maggie's name, and that Alec wanted to sell all of them to cover to pay debts or whatever, and she was unwilling to do that. But it almost sounds like that may not be the case and that she was willing to do that. So I wonder if he maybe wanted to sell everything and hide the assets, as he has been proven to tell people, like the CFO of his former law firm. He told the CFO
Denying the objection, the motion.
he wanted to move things around because of the boat crash, move money around.
You bring the jury back.
So it's on record that he did that. So I wonder if that's the same thing he was proposing on selling the properties to hide assets so people from the boat lawsuit would not get any of those funds. And probably Maggie was like, no, we can sell it and give them everything. These are kids that they were all just at an oyster roast before the boat crash happened. And from video and everything, these are kids that they'd all kind of, have family gatherings and go to the beach or go to the hunting lodge and drink with the kids. And my point is that they were probably all close, and she probably considered a lot of those kids her second family. And this was her son's girlfriend. And
all right, thank you.
I assume that she was probably close with the girlfriend and the girlfriend's mom.
It's overruled, and you may proceed.
She probably felt horrible and wanted to make it right. And it doesn't sound like Alec wanted
Simpson, in the
to.
days leading up to
Because he
the
seems like a
murders of
greedy bitch.
Paul and Maggie Murdaugh, based on your time with her, was Maggie Murdaugh anxious about anything?
She was concerned about the amount of money that they were requesting on that lawsuit. 30 million is what she told me.
We're going to show you what's marked 29.
You pose a question. There's an objection. The court overruled the objection. And do you want the witness to answer the question that you posed?
Yes, sir. I cheated.
Well, you posed a separate question.
Yes, sir. And I thought she had answered. You said she was worried about 30 million. Can you explain that more?
Your question. That there was an objection to. Do you withdraw the question that you posed prior to the court's ruling on the objection? Or you forgot the question?
The world, yes.
All right. Proceed.
She was.
I like how
What was she
detail
actually
oriented this judge is.
She said she knew the amount of money that they were asking, but she felt that Alec was not being truthful to her with regard to what exactly was going on with that
What?
lawsuit. She said, he doesn't tell me everything.
States 297. Excuse me, entered as 297.
Get back. Quit, Cash. Quit. It's okay. Come here. Come here. Get back. Hey, he got burns now. Hey, Bubba. It's a guinea. This is a chicken. Come here, Cash. Cash. Quit.
Ms. Blanca, had you seen that before?
Yes, sir.
And I think maybe in prior statements or something that, had you said, do you recognize voices on there?
Yes, sir.
Who do you recognize?
It's Paul, Maggie, Alec.
And if previously, have you said in a memo or a memorandum in interviews that you thought you may have heard another voice?
Yes, sir, I did, at a distance.
But having listened to it again, have you listened to it this week? I mean, it's not on TV. Have you seen it?
I have. There's only 3 voices, Alec, Maggie, and Paul.
So after hearing it several times, is that your conclusion?
Yes, sir.
Just a few more questions.
Yes, sir.
Would Miss Maggie Murdaugh, did she go down to the kennels at night by herself?
No, sir.
Okay. And you say that emphatically. What, do you know that?
She was scared. It got dark out there.
So would she go down there by herself?
No,
Did she like to go down there when it wasn't dark?
she did.
And did she like playing with the dogs?
She always took the dogs with her.
Which dogs were hers?
Grady and Bubba were always with her.
So when she was at
I
Edison,
agree.
where would Grady and Bubba be?
Like he's
She
looking
would-
at people who
Sometimes
know.
she would take both of them, but the majority of the time, in the last few months, she was alternating. She would take one or not the other.
And people he tried to persuade and
Can you tell us
manipulate to
about
say different
the
things.
defendants? Did you ever see him with his cell phone? Alex Murdaugh, did you ever see him use his cell phone?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the jury his habits with the cell phone? Would he have it a lot? Did he use it a lot?
Yes, sir, he did. He was always on his phone.
Say that again?
He was always on his phone.
And Paul, were you familiar with his habits as regarding cell phones?
Not, the times that he was there at the house, he was always on his phone. If he'd go in the shower or whatever, he'd play his country music on the phone. But that's the extent that I know from what I observed being there in the house.
And when you were on June 8th, and you've talked about it, and I'm not trying to rehash that, but on June 8th of 2021, when you went to clean up the house, is that pretty much what you saw in the bathroom, the pants and the damp towel?
Yeah, so there was a rug right as you step out of the shower, and there was like a slight puddle of water, a towel, a white towel, and then a pair of khaki pants.
You didn't see any bloody clothes or anything like that?
No, sir.
Beg court's indulgence, just a few seconds, Judge.
I wonder if Alec left that stuff out, asked her to come over and clean the house. Basically, like as a cover, like if anything were to come about, he could be like, well, she touched it. I don't know. Did she do it? He seems to be setting people up or allowing room to set people up.
I did this, I'm sorry, Judge. Is the individual in states?
Plus, he doesn't seem that smart. Manipulative.
Is that individual in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And would you please, is it Alex Murdaugh sitting between Mr. Harpootlian
Sitting
and
right
Mr.
there. Yes, sir.
And the record is reflecting. Thank you, Judge. Have you ever seen that shirt again?
No, sir, not to my knowledge.
Have you ever seen these shoes again that he's wearing here?
No, sir.
And the Sperry cloth, you said the Sperry shoes. Have you ever seen those again?
No, sir.
That's all. Thank you.
Recommendation.
Your Honor.
I feel bad for her now. I mean, I feel bad for her already, but it's Harpootlian.
And my name's Dick Harpootlian, and I represent the man you know as Alex, right?
Yes, sir.
We fucking know
I
dipshit.
don't think we've ever met before, have we?
Yes, we.
We've met.
Yes, sir, at the house. Maggie's funeral.
Oh, at Maggie's funeral, yes. I apologize. A lot of people there that day.
Yes, sir.
Alex has always referred to you when people ask who you are as his friend, correct?
That is correct.
Never called you his housekeeper, right?
That is correct.
He always, when he introduced you as
Being
his friend.
manipulative
That
there,
is
Poot
correct.
Poot.
Now, you've also, I think in multiple interviews with Sweat and other folks described, I think the words were, Maggie was his all. Isn't that what you told Sweat?
Yes, sir.
What does that mean? Maggie was his all.
He adored her. He loved her. He adored her.
Worshipped her. I mean, just treated her as somebody he adored. Right?
So it'd be even more,
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Now, I think they
that
also
much
asked you
more
if you ever
effed
saw
up
them have any
if you killed
arguments.
her, right? Good job, defense.
No, I did not ask that objection.
You restate the question, please.
Sweat asked you if you ever seen them have any arguments. I don't quite understand the basic objection you're on.
You restated the question. You may respond.
What was the question again, sir?
Did you ever see them have any arguments?
I never saw them have arguments. It was just minor disagreement because of the remodeling.
And I think you cite specifically, when you said they had arguments, it was about the paint colors, for instance.
One of them was Maggie was set on getting a certain white and Alec was saying, just get whatever white, basically. You know, he didn't care. She wanted a specific white and he just didn't care.
But you never saw them have any violent arguments or argue about money or argue about relationships. It was all the minor things that most couples go through, picking paint colors and those kinds of things. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. To some, they would disagree on, it wasn't that they disagreed. The only thing that I remember Maggie saying was that she just wanted him to sit still and listen to her for at least 10 minutes at a time because he was always on the go.
Is that an uncommon complaint between husbands and wives or wives to husbands? I want you to just listen to me.
Hey, Stina.
Is that right?
She would get frustrated because of that.
Right. You ever tell your husband that? Just listen to me. Sit.
The person on the stand is Blanca.
So.
She did
Let me
miscellaneous
talk a little bit about
tasks,
the
more
morning
so
of
for
the 7th
Maggie.
Yes, sir.
and then the morning of the 8th, because I understand you left before.
She was at the Moselle property the morning
Paul,
of the
Maggie, or
murders.
Alec was on the Moselle property.
She was also asked to go back there the morning after
Yes,
the
sir.
murders and clean up.
We're going to talk about those texts in just a minute between you and Maggie, but you fixed some dinner for
She's
them.
being cross-examined
And
now.
did you set a table, or did they have to go get their own plates and put them out?
No, I left the food on the stove.
Right. And normally the next day, the pots would still be on the stove, right?
Yes, sir.
Would they clean up their plates or leave those in the sink, or how would that go?
Sometimes the plates would be in the living room. There was no plates in the living room. They were in the sink.
Okay, but when you got there on the morning of the 8th.
The plates were in the sink. They were not in the living room.
Okay, now, are you aware of how many people were in there, how many friends, law partners, his sister, who was in the Moselle house on the night of the 7th?
No, sir.
Okay, if I told you there were 12 to 15 of them, would that surprise you? I mean, Maggie and Paul just killed. Was he very close with his law partners?
Yes, sir.
Okay, his sister, Lynn, do you know Lynn?
I met her at Maggie's, when Maggie passed.
Okay. And would it surprise you to know that the,
Your Honor, I'm going to object.
I'm just going to ask her if she knows, Your Honor.
Well, the objection is sustained. You cannot testify.
Let me make it more general than this. Do you know if anyone that evening of those people moved the food from the stovetop to the refrigerator?
I don't know.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about the room, the bedroom, and, well, let me ask you this. Let's back off just a little bit. You drove over from his mother and father's house, correct?
That is correct.
That morning, the 8th, to Moselle, right?
Yes, sir.
And instead of coming your normal way, which would have been the entrance by the kennels, where there, did you see all the police down there?
No, sir, I did not.
Okay. You drove up to the main entrance that would go straight up to the house, or if you took a right on that road.
It's
you
fair
would
that
end up
someone
at
else
that
put the
kennel,
food in the
right?
Yes, sir.
refrigerator and things
And you
like
came up
that,
were there
but
police around?
did someone else take
the
off
house up
Alex's
there?
pants and
Not
take a
around the
shower for
house.
him?
Okay. Did anyone question whether you should go
That'd be
into the
fucking
house or
weird.
not?
No, sir.
Was there anybody in the house other than you?
No, sir, it was me.
So did
Like I
you
said,
find
it
it
sounds like
strange
Alec
that
was
this
trying
was
to
a
set her
crime
up.
scene?
Objection.
Need to hear the question.
The question would be, did you find it strange there was no law enforcement present at the house that morning?
Question.
Go ahead.
It wasn't strange because there was law enforcement all over on the kennel side. It wasn't strange that they allowed me to go into the house.
Let me ask you this. Did anybody from SLED show up while you were there that morning?
I believe there was an officer. I do not recall the officers.
Do you remember somebody coming in to search the house while you were there?
There were several agents that came through.
Right, but you'd been there for a while before they got there?
Yes, sir.
Did they ask you about clothes you'd found, or did they ask you about anything that you found out of the ordinary, anything like that?
I didn't ask any questions. They didn't ask me. They just went about doing what they were doing.
And were they going from room to room? Were they looking for things under the bed?
That's what
Do
the
you
prosecution
It
was
appeared that
saying.
that's what they were doing, sir.
remember? Okay, but that was after you got there and picked up the bathroom, picked up the towel.
No, sir. I hadn't picked up anything at that point because I was still in shock and I was still trying to process what had just happened to my friend.
So they would have seen the khaki pants on the floor.
Objection.
Did they go into the bathroom?
You don't know what they saw. She
I
wasn't there.
couldn't tell you, sir. The laundry room sits on the other side of the house. And I had to take some time to process what had happened to Maggie and Paul. I know I saw agents that went upstairs to Paul's room. I saw them walking through the house, sir, but I don't know what they took, what they didn't took. All I can tell you is what I saw when I got there.
Okay. after,
Yeah.
while they're there?
I think
or
that's his
after they
point.
left?
The
Is that
prosecution
when
is
you
trying to
went
make
in
it
the
like
bathroom
Alex set stuff
and
up
saw
weird.
the khaki pants?
And Harpootlian is
Somebody
making a
taking a
good
shower.
point that it could have been anybody
There was a
cleaning up,
towel
doing
on the floor,
things.
khaki pants on the floor. Was that before or after they left?
But his khaki pants that she saw him wear that morning
Yeah,
before he went to
after.
work.
Okay, so all those items would have been there for those folks to see as far
Who
as you
other
know.
than him
Yes,
took them
sir.
off by the shower?
Now, let me ask you a couple of things and about what you saw. They keep showing you this picture by the tree of Alex, and he appears to have on a khaki pair of pants in that picture, correct?
Yes, sir.
And I mean, I'm sure he had a number of different pairs of khaki pants, but were those khaki pants similar to the ones he has on in the picture? Could they be the same ones?
They could be, but he had several.
Right. And in terms of somebody had taken a shower, it looked like there was water on the floor.
Yes, sir.
Now, did Alex take a number of showers every day? Was he a prolific shower taker?
Not that I'm aware. He would get up in the morning, take a shower, and go to work.
But did he take showers other times during the day?
I wasn't there in
What
the
the fuck
evening
should she
hours,
know?
so I don't know.
Okay. So, but it wasn't unusual for when you got there to find a towel on the floor and water on the floor from him having taken
That
a
wasn't
shower?
unusual. No.
Okay. And I think that when you were asked about a shirt, and we can pull this if you want to go back to, whether there was a shirt there also, you said you couldn't remember. Is that correct?
With regard to,
Whether there was a shirt with the khakis on the floor. You said, I couldn't remember.
I could not remember whether there was a shirt with a khaki pants. All I remember is a white damp towel sitting there.
Okay. And the khaki pants.
Yes, sir.
But you don't remember whether, and I think you told the grand jury, I don't remember whether it was a shirt or wasn't a shirt. Correct?
That is correct.
And that's today. You can't tell this jury there wasn't a shirt on the floor. You just can't, you can tell them you don't remember. Correct?
What was your question?
You can't tell this jury there wasn't a shirt on the floor because you can't remember whether there was a shirt on the floor or not. Isn't that what you told the grand jury?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we know there's a pair of khaki pants. There may have been a shirt. And those shoes, well, let me ask you this.
He's trying to rile you up.
On the night of the
Just
7th,
ignore him.
Yes, sir.
Alec had
Don't
left,
take the
correct?
bait.
He wasn't there when you got there the next morning.
No, sir, he wasn't there.
Okay. As a matter of fact, he never spent another night at Moselle, did
No,
you?
sir, he did not.
She knows, Your Honor.
You can answer if you know whether or not he's ever spent another night there.
After the murders, did he ever spend another night at Moselle, to your knowledge?
He did not.
So when he left that night, on the night of the 7th, and went to his mother and father's house, you don't know what clothes he took with him, what shoes he was wearing? You have no idea, correct?
That is correct.
And
What's the point?
were you aware that SLED had confiscated the clothes that he had on?
At that moment, I didn't.
Okay. Well, you are now.
Yes, sir, I do know that.
Okay. A white T-shirt, pair of shorts that he showed you, and whatever shoes he had on, some sneakers, right?
He didn't show her.
I didn't see the sneakers, but I saw the clothing items.
Okay. And so he had to put on, if they did that, other clothes to go over his mother's house, correct?
How's she supposed to know?
Would it stand to reason he'd have to put on other clothes or go in his underwear?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay. Do you know what he wore over at his mother's house?
No, sir.
Do you know whether he wore those shoes?
No, sir.
You don't know. So
Your
when,
Honor, objection to. Objection.
Basis for the objection.
I
To
don't
which
know-
question?
To that last one, shoes. I don't know what specificity he says to those shoes. I don't know what he's.
I'm sorry, the shoes that you say you saw in the Snapchat photo, you say you never saw again,
That
right?
is correct.
Okay. You don't know whether he wore those shoes the night of the 7th over to his mama's house, do you?
I don't know that. I wasn't
Okay.
there.
You don't know what he wore over there, correct?
That's correct. I wasn't there.
He may have even worn that shirt that you said you never saw again, correct?
Objection.
Objection's overruled.
Right?
Correct?
Okay. Now,
So great. You're proving everyone's point. What did he do with the clothes? Why are you going to make clothes go missing?
if somebody alleged that those khaki pants, or was what Alex was wearing the night of
I'm
the.
going to object.
I need to hear the question.
I can't finish the question, I'm sorry.
Oh, poor
Let me
Pooter.
state this. If somebody were to say that Alec Murdaugh, as ridiculous as it sounds, was wearing those khaki pants when he,
Objection.
Objection sustained.
let me put it this way. Did you see any blood on those khaki pants?
No, sir.
You washed them, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you put anything on them to get blood stains out? I mean, would it be,
Are you saying that I removed blood stains off of khaki pants?
I'm asking you rhetorically. I'm asking you, did you see any blood stains?
There appeared to be no blood stains on those pants.
Okay. And in the bathroom, did you see any bloody footprints?
I did not.
Did you see any blood on that towel?
No, sir.
Did you see anything indicating to you there'd been anybody wearing bloody shoes or washing blood off, or anything that would indicate that somebody after a murder had gone back to that room, changed clothes, covered in blood, took a shower and changed clothes? Did you see anything that would
How's he
indicate?
supposed to know what a murderer
That's
does?
overruled.
Go ahead.
This is the first time that I have ever been in a situation where somebody was murdered.
Right.
I didn't know, as far as what you're asking me, if there was anything bloody in there. No, it did not appear to be anything bloody in there.
Did you clean the shower that day?
Yes, sir, I rinsed it off.
You rinsed it off. Nobody told you not to rinse off the shower?
No, sir.
Okay. Again, nobody from SWED, as that group went through, asked you, did you see bloody footprints?
Because
Did you see
SWED
any evidence that there was anything bloody?
was
in
a
that
little corrupted, it appears to be, in my opinion,
Anybody else do that?
allegedly, so
No,
it's a
sir.
rumor.
And your testimony is those khaki pants were there after SWED left,
Yes, sir.
and maybe even a shirt, you can't remember.
So he hit him from SLED.
Yes, or possibly
Yeah,
a
thanks for
t-shirt,
proving the
but
point.
I did not see it. I don't remember.
Okay, you don't remember what kind of shirt, if there was a shirt.
Objection.
The objection is overruled.
Thank you.
Don't thank him, he gonna get back.
Do you remember? I'm doing like Mr. Meadows now. I forgot the question.
Oh, that's
But
too bad.
let me see if I can get this back on track.
Poor
These
Peter.
interruptions are getting me a little askew.
Oh, you don't know how to be an attorney?
So
Yikes. That's real sad. Maybe you
I
should
think you've already
retire
asked
and
and
go
answered
eat
that.
some pork and beans.
now let's talk a little bit about. Let me talk a little bit about the cell phone service in Moselle. You had a cell phone,
Yes, sir.
and the servicer was who? What was it? Verizon? Or do you know?
The cell phone carrier is Verizon, yes, sir.
Okay. And so, did you ever have any trouble getting a signal anywhere on the Moselle property? Up at the house, down at the dog kennels? Was it sporadic?
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay. And sometimes you'd be talking to somebody and they'd drop off, or the call would end, not because you ended it, because the service was bad.
Yes, sir, if you were moving around in the house, certain areas, you could not get a signal.
What about down from the kennels?
It was touch and go in the kennels. You really, once you got signal, you better stay where you were at, because if you moved, you were gonna lose your signal.
Okay. So it would not be unusual at the kennels if you did move, that if you were having a conversation or getting text or trying to answer a text, you wouldn't be able to do so.
Like I said, it depends on where you kind of knew the areas. At least for me, I already knew that if I had to make a call or send a text, I would walk out the kitchen door straight to the edge of the corner right there on the porch and make my call and not move. If not, I would lose the call, or I would not be able to make my call.
What about at the kennels?
At the kennels, like I said, it depends on the area where you were at. And once, basically everybody, we all kind of knew that if you moved out of a certain area and went to another, you were going to lose signal.
Okay. Now at the kennel, do you know what area you could get a call? Keep that. I mean, you just talked about up at the house, there was a sweet spot, if you'll.
Yes, sir.
Was there a sweet spot down at the kennel, or do you know?
I'm not sure at the kennels, but I do remember, Mr. CV saying that the signal out there was horrible, for making calls or getting calls.
Or sending texts or getting texts?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about this conversation in August of 21, after the murders.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Alec came over and was inquiring of you what shirt he had on that day, correct?
It didn't feel like he was inquiring. It felt more like he was trying to convince me of the shirt that he was wearing.
Did he tell you that he just finished?
Objection.
I'm sorry, I'm just asking if he told you something.
Objection.
Cross-examination.
I'm objecting to hearsay for the record.
I need to hear the question,
Did,
number one. Number two is cross-examination.
Hooters.
Go ahead.
did he tell you that he just finished
Objection.
meeting? Do you want me to pose the question, Your Honor, or not?
All right. I'm going to send the jury to the jury room.
Uh-oh, they
Who's
gonna
next?
get scolded. Alex, stand up for your jurors. Stand up, motherfucker. Show some respect. Stand up. Stand up for the jurors, dick. So, Sina, since you weren't here earlier, I'm taking notes.
Be seated. Okay.
Blanca said Alec had a conversation with her like a week later, like saying, "Hey, I'm real worried,
Wait,
pacing back and
Your Honor.
forth. There's a
Get back
video
on
out
track.
there."
When you were talking with him in the little
You know,
house
that
in
night I was
August,
wearing this
as we were talking
particular
about a
shirt,
minute ago,
right?
You were talking about the shirt.
Which
Did
is
he tell you
not what she was
that he
wearing.
had just been interviewed
Not
by
what he was
Sweat,
wearing. She felt like he was trying
who'd
to
shown him the Snapchat photo,
go
and
along
he
with
was
something that wasn't
attempting to
true.
figure out what he was wearing that day? I mean, it's in a photo. Did he tell you that?
So, what's the specific question?
Did he, when he asked you the question about the shirt, did he tell you he just come from being interviewed by Sweat?
No, sir, he didn't tell me that.
And what is the objection?
Your Honor, it is respectfully hearsay. Statement is hearsay that if he wants to do that, he can take the stand and do it. He's trying to offer the defendant's statement without him taking the stand. It's offered for the truth of the matter asserted. That's my objection.
All right, any response?
My response is, if you can't ask witnesses about what the defendant said to them, they're going to have a rough road to hoe going forward, because it's a statement by the
Why does
party.
he look like he's trying to like?
Party opponent, if you will. I think they
Fight.
argued earlier on when we objected to one. It's not hearsay. There's an exception to hearsay by a statement by one of the parties. It's Alex.
Statement by the party opponent, being a statement by the party opponent, the defendant.
Mr. Murdaugh's statement to this woman.
Murderers.
Not that this matters. I've been doing this 35 years. He's on trial.
We know that.
But I'm just saying, it's not a party opponent. He's trying to get in a statement from the defendant. Statements against interest, that the state, there is a difference between the state asking what the defendant said and the defense. And if they hadn't objected to something, they thought that's their prerogative, that they're trying to offer the defendant's statement in evidence without him taking the stand. I respectfully think that's objectable as hearsay. He's the defendant on trial. They're offering it for the self-serving hearsay. They're offering it for the truth of the matter asserted. And I respectfully think that he's got to take the stand and get that information in.
And Your Honor, maybe
Yeah, Alex said to her, so we need to have a conversation
tell
with
you about
pacing
talking to Sweat
back
that
and
day?
forth and
No, sir,
saying,
he did not.
I have a bad feeling about this. And then
Two allows us
Made the
to
comment
ask the
about
question
the
and not the
shirt.
defense.
I understand what was self-serving. She didn't say anything. He didn't say anything about Sweat.
agreed. Just do it.
He could get his whole case through witnesses and you
Knock
wouldn't
his head
have to take the stand.
Absolutely.
And that's
You've
not
got a Fifth
appropriate.
Amendment right
No,
to
sir.
not take the stand.
That's right, but you can't.
I think Brent will let you all big issues with your fingers. I wouldn't I get that?
Time out. The judge said, I'm not here for this. I'm just leaving. This is the stuff I wish. This is the entertainment part that I wish, the psychology entertainment part. I want to be in person witnessing. To me, this is cool. Not the death, not the murder, not whatever, but this is literally like a Southern Gothic trial right now. I'm here for the debate. I wonder if he'll just call a recess. I don't know why I muted myself. So basically, I believe it was about a week later, Alec had been staying at this place they refer to, yeah, like a scripted court show. Yeah, I agree. I just don't understand. I feel like everyone knows Dick Harpootlian's tactic is to be theatrical and rile people up. So just ignore his temper tantrum and move on. Like, don't, the prosecutor getting heated, although I like it, I enjoy it. I hope he's using some tactic to try to get Dick off guard too. I don't know. I hope he's not actually getting like emotionally invested because and being offended or angry at Dick Harpootlian, because he is trying to do that to throw them off guard. I mean, Harpootlian has literally said in articles and interviews in years past, has been printed, that court's about theatrics. Basically, like, I play the game, I get under people's skin, and I win. Don't let them under your skin. I'm not saying people shouldn't be rightfully offended by what he's doing or saying, but like, don't let him use that against you. I can't believe the judge just said, all right, I'm out. To argue amongst yourselves. Like, there's not a major murder trial going on. The jury's not sitting here waiting for us to tell them what's going to happen next. I'm just going to, whatever, I'm going to go take a break. But, oh, sorry. So I believe Blanca testified to about a week after the murders. She was with Alec. He was staying at some place they call the Little House, which was apparently a 2-bedroom property between his brother's house and John Parker. I am just going to assume that's one of the law partners. She being Blanca, would often go out and give him clothes. I don't know why I'm yelling. Pardon me. Give him clothes, freshen up his stuff, toiletries, things like that. And he called her aside, was like, I need to talk to you, was pacing back and forth. And she testified that his words were, I got a bad feeling. I got a bad feeling. There's this video out there showing me in different clothes. And, you know, I was wearing that Vinnie Vine shirt. And in her earlier testimony, she said she just kind of sat there because she knew that is not what type of shirt he had on. He knew that was not that type of shirt that he had on, because earlier that morning, she helped fix his collar of his shirt because apparently it was kind of out of place with the sports coat he put over the polo shirt. So she was very aware of what shirt he was wearing that day, which should have been and would have been the same. Well, I don't know, who cares? But so she is testifying. She was very confused at why he was saying that and felt he was leading her to go along with that. He was wearing some sort of Vinnie Vine shirt. I need to look up what that is because I don't know. I think maybe I do, but I'm not sure. Go away so I can open a 20th tab. What am I typing? Oh my gosh. Gross. Do people have a nickname for this? I know what type of shirt this is, and yeah, it's part of like the South Carolinian official fucking uniform that guys wear around here, which are khaki and these type of clothes. It's like it's a collared shirt. It's like checkered, and it's got a couple buttons. Well, actually, it's all the way buttoned down. It's so gross. I hate it. Anytime my husband says he's going to wear a shirt like that, I'm like, go ahead and decide never to be intimate with me again if you put anything like that on. And also, I think that's grounds for divorce. But I also hate Lily Pulitzer, or whatever the hell her name is. I'm being a complete cunt today. I am irritable. I do not know why. I assume I'm pre-menopausal or something fun like that. But all my thoughts are coming out. Anyhow, the point of this shirt is it's called Vineyard Vines. They're calling it a Vinnie Vine shirt. Why this is irritating? Because I hate everyone. Also, because down in that part of the state, it's like things they try to make cool just irritate me. And like a thing, like an exclusive thing. Like we're gonna wear a Vinnie Vine. It's like a douche magoo. But I'm such an asshole, I don't care. Piggly Wiggly is a grocery store, is a big thing down there that they try to make snobbish. Piggly Wiggly, where I grew up in Florida, is where the poor people went to grocery shop. I'm telling you, like, I see people come back in the summertime with like Piggly Wiggly shirts on. First of all, I think it's, why do you have a grocery store shirt on? I actually have a grocery store tank top, so I can't talk. I guess I'm just being a snob about what it is. There's like a local grocery store called the Swamp Rabbit Trail nearby here. Swamp Rabbit Trail used to be a railroad in my town. They've turned it into a bike path. This grocery store is along the bike path. It's like a cool place to hang out, have beers. They've got a playground for kids. They've got miscellaneous stuff, ride your bikes, whatever. So I also have a grocery store shirt, but Piggly Wiggly is not cool. And I saw these people up here wearing a Piggly Wiggly shirt, and I'm like, why are you wearing a Piggly Wiggly shirt? They're like, you don't know Piggly Wiggly? You must not go to the beach. Actually, that's incorrect. The beach here in South Carolina, when people refer to it, took me a couple years because, again, we've got a giant coast. So I'm like, what beach? Can you clarify? People here say the beach. They mean Myrtle Beach. Anything else, they'll say the specific area, Hilton Head, Edisto. For a very long time, people were saying, I'm going down to the beach in Charleston. Although there is water that goes up, there is not a beach in Charleston. They're referring to all the little peninsulas and islands along. I have to decipher what these people say. know why I'm such a cunt. I'm so scared anybody that knows me here is going to be like, oh, bitch, is this what you think of us? A little bit. Sorry. Yes. But yeah, they were acting all snobby about freaking Piggly Wiggly grocery store shirts and acting as if like, oh, you don't know? I'd be like, yes, bitch, I know. I went to a Piggly Wiggly my whole kid life. That was like one of 2 grocery stores in town where the poor people went. We weren't necessarily poor, but paycheck to paycheck type people. Piggly Wiggly was all we can afford, and they're trying to make it like a snobby thing. It'd be like if people started wearing like Walmart shirts and being like, oh, you don't know Walmart? Yeah. Stars upon stars, anybody? Gross. I am like, I'm so sorry. I'm irritating myself. I'm annoying myself, and yet I'm getting so much aggression out. I have so much aggression right now. And I don't particularly know why. I know certain things, but why am I so irritable? It's not that time. That's why I think maybe I'm premenopausal, which is something to be angry about because I'm only 20. I said this earlier. I'm only 20. How in the world could I be premenopausal? Rude. And then Blanca earlier was testifying and explaining different times where she was hired by the Murdaughs to help Maggie with different things. One of them being their main house in Hampton. That was their main living residence. And apparently back in the day, someone put diesel fuel all over that bitch and tried to burn it down. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And I can't find so far any more information on this. I think this happened in like 2009, 2010, something like that. How are these people connected to so much shit? Insane. So yeah, Vinny Vine set me off. Vineyard Vine. Nicknames for things. Quit trying to make fetch happen. It's a little younger than my generation, but I do know that. Lord. Alec broke down a couple times when she was testifying, and I think kind of like what Nikki said earlier, it's like tears of guilt. Regardless on if he's guilty or innocent, he's lied about a lot in regard to the events that led up to their murders, the night of their murders, the following days after their murders. So he's having to sit there watching people he knows he lied to testify. I'd feel real embarrassed. And another thing I got heated on earlier, I guess there was some stuff going around yesterday that, the family was asked to move back a couple rows in the courtroom. Can't get a really straight story on exactly what happened. I think what was originally reported and took off is not true. And I guess I got irritated that kind of like Katie Joy, like this person is ridiculous enough. We don't have to make stuff up. It was rumored that while Mark Tinsley, the person who represented the Beach family, Mallory Beach is the one that passed away in the boat crash. It's rumored that Buster flipped him off while Mark was testifying. He's sitting there chewing on his nail. And these same commenters that are like, this is all a stretch, that this is motive for murder, are sitting, the dude is obviously sitting there biting off his nail. Yes, it's his middle finger. He's sitting there doing this. And yes, it's while Mark Tinsley is testifying. And they're all saying, oh, you can't say that this wasn't on purpose. That was totally on purpose. It's like, no, it's not. He's eating his nail, biting it off, whatever. And it was reported that when they were asked to move back, that he got real mad and kicked over a water bottle. No one caught that on camera anywhere. I think if that were the case, it'd be all over the media. Didn't happen. But I think what is happened was was either some note passing of some sort from Alec's sister to the defense team to give to Alec. So I think that's why they were asked to move back. Again, there's so many different people reporting so many different things. And one person, news group, whatever you want to call them in particular, that's also irritating me, and to me, leading up all these sensational things like, oh, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, is Fitz News. And I say I'm hesitant to talk about them because they've been up here in Greenville a lot. In fact, I unknowingly drove past Will Folks this summer when he was reporting, or about to reporting. They were setting cameras up to do an interview with the guy who was married to some politician in South Carolina, cheating scandal, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he had bought a church up here that is in a like historic Black neighborhood. And he bought a church and painted it pink and called it the Trap House. So that was like big news here for a while. But I was dropping my daughter off to art camp that was in that neighborhood. And I remember seeing like overnight, this church was all of a sudden Pepto-Bismol pink, and there was a old cop car in front of it, spray painted with someone's name. I'm like, what the hell? And then I saw this dude like setting up a news camera outside. I'm like, well, I guess I'll figure it out later. Well, it was Will Folks who created Fitz News, which is a news agency that Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell formerly worked and wrote for and were editors of. When Mandy first started her podcast and left, I can't remember if it was the Island Packet that she worked for, Will Folks told her, you know, come on over here, work with me, I'll let you cover this case, yada, yada, yada. So she worked for him and did Murdaugh Murder podcast simultaneously. So for a while, he had a lot of inside information and sources and things for, I would assume, for the Murdaugh saga. I am going to sneeze. Thank goodness I didn't fart at the same time. Mandy very tactfully explained maybe like 3 or 4 months ago, I don't know, I can't remember when it was, right before Christmas, something that, you know, it was taking a lot of time and energy to produce the Murdaugh Murder podcast, and she would no longer be working for Fitz News. I don't think Liz Farrell put out an official statement, but I could kind of tell that perhaps she wasn't really there anymore. due to the way Will Folks comes across in his delivery of some things, you could see like online a lot, people weren't really caring for his style. He goes on to always say, oh, it's because people don't share the same opinions, political opinions with me. No, my opinion is that you're a little bit of a grimy schmoozer. And I don't like you. Opportunist. He put out some things that about the Stephen Smith family that had not previously been reported on, that really didn't pertain. Putting it out there wouldn't add any kind of value to finding out the truth surrounding Stephen Smith's death. But untactfully, I believe, Will Folks did it anyway. So Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell were basically like, all right, breakup still on, and this is why. Yes, we knew this information, but I can't even remember what the info was. It was just stuff that, again, wouldn't add value to finding out what happened. And it's mostly like kind of gossipy. It could be seen that way. It was true, but it was unnecessary and would really only kind of, the other door is open. Stinking dog. I'm losing my train of thought, but basically we don't like Will Folks. And he's been the main person who seems to be putting sensational things out there and claiming he has sources and it's true. We saw Buster kick over a water bottle. Blah, 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 blah. It's just, he's very Steve. Okay, maybe not as bad as Steve, but he's Steve-esque. Dog! I'm doing a live stream. Literally, we've got 2 doors that my dog could go out into the yard, and the other one's open, but she wants to have me to open this one. I wonder what everyone's doing. Are they coming back? Is the judge like, F this shit, I'm out? I wonder if they're in his chambers and they're all like fist fighting. I wish we could see that. All right, since I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can perhaps share who I'm talking about a little bit. No! Holy shit balls. All right, I'm going to mute. Well, I'm going to bring them back up and then mute. I guess they're back. Backstreet's back. You may now get your shit in order, because I am done.
The objection is sustained. It's hearsay. You bring the jury.
No, I'm not going to do it. Never mind.
All right, thank you. The objection is sustained. Your next question.
Court, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
So this conversation occurred, I think, did you say prior to them going to a golf tournament?
Yes, sir. He said Randy had just dropped him off so that he could get his clothes because him and Buster and Randy were going golfing.
Him and Buster and who?
Randy.
Randy, okay. We're going to a golf tournament that weekend?
I don't know if it was a golf tournament or what, but I know he said they were going away. They were going golfing.
Okay. And speaking of Buster, can you point Buster out in the audience for me, please? Buster, oh, you're back there. Okay, I'm sorry. Stand up, please.
Yes, sir.
Is that Buster?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Y'all always had a great relationship, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
He's a
thank you.
good kid.
I'm sorry?
He's a good kid.
He's a good kid. Okay, so one of the other questions I have is, did you ever see Paul with any guns?
Yes, sir.
No?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. And did he have guns around all the time?
Yes, he did.
Matter of fact, they're all guns all over that place, right?
In the vehicles, on the go-karts, sometimes in the hangar.
So did Paul ever leave guns? Just where, if he was, for instance, down at the hangar, would he ever leave guns down there?
I have found one occasionally out there.
A pistol or rifle?
A rifle.
You know what kind it was?
No, sir.
Okay. And do you know if he ever left any down in the feed room?
Not in the feed room. I'm not sure about the feed
Okay,
room.
you never saw anything in the
No,
feed
sir.
room. I believe in one of your statements, I read that sometimes he'd leave him somewhere and actually there'd be rust on the rifle or the shotgun or whatever.
If he left it on the golf cart outside, he would sometimes leave it laying across, and I would get it in the morning, and already it would rust off.
And that would be a golf cart he would drive down to the kennels, for instance?
Yes, sir, whichever one he was in, and he preferred the gas. The gas one is usually where I used to find
Gas?
golf
cart?
cart, yes.
Okay. And so that would be a way he would get down to the kennel sometimes?
Sometimes, the majority of the time, he was either in Dolly or in his own truck.
In what?
Dolly,
What is Dolly?
the F-250.
I forgot, y'all name all your trucks, or they named all their trucks, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so most of the time he would be in a truck, but sometimes he would take the golf cart, if you will, down there.
Yes, sir.
And apparently sometimes he had guns in the golf cart.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, let me touch a couple of other things. Did that day you saw the sled folks in there, did you see them taking any pictures? Or do you remember?
I believe some of them were taking pictures, but I'm not positive.
Okay. You were shown a picture of a rain jacket.
Yes, sir, I was.
Okay. And had you ever seen that rain jacket at the house?
Not at Moselle, no, sir.
Correct. You ever, and what size clothes did Alec wear?
2XL.
2XL, not just a large. Would anything, a large fit him?
I don't think he might have had one or two items that were that size, but most of the clothing was 2XL.
2XL. How about, would you put exhibit number? Yes, please. And blow it up for me, please.
Someone mentioned this before. I hope to God they don't have
Okay,
him
how about
try
make
on the
that
rain
bigger,
jacket.
please?
Let's not have another O.J. Simpson situation.
No,
please.
not the rain jacket. I'm sorry. The Snapchat picture. Apologize. Well, wait 1 second. You see that rain jacket on there?
Yes, sir.
That's, you've never seen that, according to your statement, never seen that at
I've
Moselle.
never seen that jacket.
Okay. And you knew pretty much everything, every piece of clothing that was there, right?
For the most part, yes.
Yes. Okay. And how many rain jackets did Alex have? Remember?
Too many to count.
Too many to count, okay. But none of them look like that.
No, sir.
Okay. How about blow that up for me, please? Can you make it any better?
Is it impossible or even improbable that he would put somebody else's jacket on? Because I don't know, he didn't want to be linked
And
to
that
it.
shirt is that the one he was wearing that morning when he
No,
left?
sir, it was not.
It's not.
No, sir, that was not the shirt he was wearing.
And this is at 7, you understand, this is 7:40 PM that evening when he's out with Paul.
I wasn't there then.
Okay. But that's not the shirt he was wearing when he left that morning.
That is correct. No, it's not the shirt.
Okay, take the course and just one moment. You were aware he had clothes at his office, kept clothes at his office?
Yes, sir, among other places.
Where else would he leave?
That was very cute, Christina.
You have it in a car?
Yes, sir.
Where else?
In Edisto.
I'm sorry?
In Edisto.
In Edisto, okay. But if he was in the Moselle area, if he was going to change his shirt from in the morning, would he have changed it at the office or got something out of his car? You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay. Now, let me show you. $107. Can you tell the jury what that is, please?
The text messages from me and Maggie?
This is on June 7th, 2021, right?
That is correct.
And the first one, I'm just going to try to hurry this up a little bit. She asked you to stop.
Yes, sir.
She says, will you stop by, this is at 7:05 a.m., stop by the store and get Alex Capri Sun. He likes orange and pineapple flavor plus mountain cooler. Thank you, I'll pay you back. You say, I will. She says, thank you, get 2 boxes. Now, after that conversation, there's a text at 3:28 p.m. Blanca, dinner's on the stove, just left. So you left there at about 3:30, correct?
Yes, I sent the text before I actually walked out of the house. I had a habit of sending her the text, make sure everything, and then locked up before I left.
Okay.
But at that time, I had gone upstairs to drop off some clothes. I noticed that Paul's truck or a white truck was sitting at the kennels. So I left the front door unlocked at that time instead of locking it.
But you didn't see Alex anywhere there?
No, sir.
Okay. You didn't see his vehicle?
No, sir.
Okay. And she says at 3:40, thank you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then at 3:54, you said, you're welcome. I just made your deposit. Maggie then says, I guess this is a fun exchange. Thank you. I'm waiting at the doctor. Alex wants me to come home. I had to leave the door open at Edisto, but trust the Mexicans to shut and lock for me.
Yes, sir.
And then she says, Alex's dad back at the hospital. The last doctor claims not cancer, pneumonia. Alex is about to die. Hope he doesn't go down there to sleep. Now, you know what she meant by that?
What she meant was Maggie used to get frustrated. She said every time something happened at Alameda with his dad or his mom, that Alec would get called and nobody else, that they always called Alec to go to the house. And she did get upset over that the family was basically putting all that on Alec and he wasn't getting enough rest.
So when she said he's going to die, she's worried about his health.
She was worried about his health, yes.
Okay. And she says Alex needs to take care of himself as well. And that's consistent with what you just said, correct? She was
Yes.
worried about his health.
Yes.
And you said, yes, he does. He told me he was tired when he left. I hope they can treat Mr. Randolph. Maggie says, I'm scared for him and Alex and all of us. What do you mean by that?
Because Alec hadn't had much sleep. That was her main concern, was the fact that her main frustration was the fact that in the middle of the night or whenever, if Mr. Randolph or Miss Libby were uncomfortable, that they would always, she seemed to think that they always called Alec and there goes Alec, to take care of it. And she
No,
felt
but
that
it
it
wasn't
wasn't
fair
fair
that
that
Why
he
isn't
was
he
the only
claiming
one
this
having
is
to take
hearsay
him.
now?
And your response to that is, I know, just pray about it and hope he gets a little better. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir.
And you say, Alex, and you really need to relax. Always being on the go with little or no sleep is not healthy. Remember, I have a doctor's appointment in the morning in Beaufort. If I get done early, I'll go to Moselle. I'll let you know. And she says, no worries, right?
Yes.
Now, oh, you got the exhibit. Take that from him and hand it to. Okay. So, she preferred to be in Edisto, correct?
That's correct.
But she was going that day, based on all your texts, she was going because Mr. Randolph had been put back in the hospital and she was worried about Alex, right?
What
I
do you
mean, she was heading to Moselle. She preferred to be in Edisto, but she was heading to Moselle because Mr. Randolph had been put back in the hospital and she was concerned about Alex. Isn't that what this is?
The objection is sustained.
Okay. She indicated to you that Paul was coming in your telephone conversations, correct?
That is correct.
And did she indicate in your telephone conversations that she needed dinner for her, Paul, and Alec, right?
Yes, she did.
And did she indicate in any way that she did not want to go to Moselle to have dinner with Alec, Paul that night?
Her conversation with me was that Alec wanted her to go to Moselle that day. And she was concerned about the workers that she had in Edisto. And she would have preferred to be in Edisto, taking care of the final
But for
details.
Mr. Randolph's condition.
She was concerned about the work being done and leaving the house open in Edisto.
She wasn't concerned about Mr. Randolph.
I mean, she was, but her more concern was that her house was open.
Okay. Now, I mean, she preferred to be at Edisto in the summertime as opposed to Moselle at all, correct?
That is correct.
Now, let me ask you, did SWED ask you about at any point about the clothes that Alex was wearing on the 7th? At some point, did they ask you that?
Not until recent.
Recently, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is it clear to you, I mean, you've been asked recently to recollect something that happened in June of 21, which is almost 2 years ago. Did they ask you other questions about what happened on June 7th when they asked you about the clothes?
They asked me where I was. They asked me what I was doing. They asked me when I saw Alec leaving that day, my discussions with Maggie. They requested to see my phone, which I gave them. so they could see the text messages, phone calls that we had had.
Okay. You and Maggie were very close.
We were.
You and Alex were close also, were you not?
Yes, sir.
And did you feel like a member of the family?
Yes, sir.
Had you ever heard from anybody about any, well, strike that. Did you indicate that Maggie, one of the things Maggie told you was that she was not, after the boat case, she was not being treated very well by the people in Hampton, correct?
That is correct.
They shunned her, they were rude to her, those kinds of things.
That is correct.
Did she also indicate to you that she was concerned about Paul because he'd received a bunch of threats?
Objection.
Your objection's overruled.
Did she ever indicate to you she's concerned about Paul because Paul had received threats?
Yes.
Okay, beg the court's indulgence. I moved 107 into evidence.
Could you try to get up there?
I gave it to the.
I'm probably going to have to go very soon. I have errands to run.
Any objection?
So probably another like 5 minutes.
Submitted without objection.
Also, I know you guys are unavailable at the moment, but if you're ever interested in like coming on panel and talking about this, I mean, I know I can get a little irritating. But
That same morning of the 8th, did you clean the gun room?
I didn't go in the gun room. I went in there, but I didn't do anything in the gun room.
Didn't pick anything up.
No, sir.
Okay, and when you went into the kitchen that
this
morning,
weekend in the evening,
was there
I'm
anything
gonna
that
have a
would
little
indicate
free
to you
time
that other people
to
had been
do
there
something
the
like
night
that.
before?
If
Like glasses or bottles of
either
water
of you are
or
interested,
anything?
No, sir.
you don't have to. No peer pressure.
Thank you.
Redirect.
Mr. Harpootlian,
Actually, it might be a little bit longer than 5 minutes if
Mark,
you're
we
still
can
there.
ask you
'Cause
about the,
I gotta make some signs.
clothes in the closet on June 8th, 2021, you remember?
Yes, sir.
And he asked you if there could have been another shirt in the room.
Yes, sir.
And was your response maybe a t-shirt?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you see another dress shirt there?
No, sir.
And while we're getting to that, did you work at Almeida?
No, sir.
Did you ever go there?
No, I have been there on one occasion previously, and I don't remember what I had to drop off.
Well, that blue poncho rain jacket Mr. Harpootlian showed you, that was at Almeida, wasn't it? Or do you know?
I don't know where that came from.
You never saw that at Moselle, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And state 7, well, first of all, this is states 306. Have you ever seen that shirt again since you went back the 8th, the 9th until today? Have you ever seen that shirt again?
No, sir. Once I moved a lot of the belongings to the little house, he had packed some of the clothes up, but over the weekends and stuff, when they were going from place to place, I noticed that he was purchasing different clothing items, shorts, shirts. So there was a couple of new ones in there, which still was not that shirt. It was some of the newer ones.
Who was purchasing a lot of shorts and shirts
Alec.
after this event? After the murder?
Yes, sir. On the weekends when they were gone with the family, if he was going different places, he would come back like that Monday or Tuesday, and there was like new items within the clothes.
New shirts?
New shirts.
New shorts?
Yes.
You know what kind?
Vineyard Vines.
They were buying Vinnie Vines
Yes, sir.
after the murders?
Yes, sir. They were like polo type Vineyard Vines.
And what shirt had he suggested to you he was wearing in August on this day? What shirt had he just suggested to you he was wearing?
Vineyard Vines. Vinnie Vines is what we call them.
In state 7, said you recognize these shorts and shirts?
Yes, sir.
Where was this shirt kept? On states 107 in Moselle?
In the closet, if there was no room in that drawer.
On the shelves?
Yes, sir, on the shelf.
And looking at 306, is that outfit different from this outfit?
Yes, sir, it is.
And I think Mr. Arputian showed it at 107. Whose idea was it for Maggie Murdaugh to come to Moselle on the evening of June 7th?
You can testify if you know. You can testify if you know.
Maggie texted me that Alec wanted her to come to Moselle.
And is that on 107 that Mr. Harputian just put in?
Yes, sir, it is.
It's not hearsay if they have a text message of it.
That's all, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Look that up for me, please. Just a couple of questions. After Maggie's death and Paul's death, did you notice he was losing weight?
Yes, sir, he was.
Dramatic loss of weight, right?
Yes, sir.
So the clothes we can see him in that picture, he's fat is the wrong word, but overweight kind of guy, big guy, fleshy looking guy, right there, okay? Now, so he needed to buy new clothes because the other clothes were falling off of him, right?
I assume so, yes, sir.
So it wouldn't be unusual for him to need to buy new clothes because he's losing weight.
I guess.
Okay. Now, this is 306. This is the picture. And you say this is a shirt, like a Columbia shirt, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, a Columbia shirt, don't they have a logo that says Columbia?
Yes, sir. Either on the sleeve or,
You see one on here?
I don't see anything on this shirt. The style of shirt is the Columbia style shirt.
It's not you're not saying it was a brand name Columbia shirt. You're saying it was a Columbia style shirt.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your testimony again is this is not the shirt he walked out with that morning,
He did not walk out with that shirt that morning.
but those could be the khakis he walked out with that morning.
Possibly, yes.
Okay. And when you say you never saw that shirt again, you did see those khakis again, did you not?
Yes, sir. I washed those khakis. They were in the bathroom. I'm assuming it was the same pair because he only had a few that he wore.
Right. Okay. And in addition, your testimony would be that I guess you're saying that morning he didn't have that shirt on, but he had those pants on.
Could possibly have those pants. He had several.
Okay. And would you scroll down to the footwear, please? Okay, those are loafers, right?
Yes, sir.
And what do they seem to be made out of?
Like soft leather.
So your testimony is that those were shoes he only wore around the house. He had like house slippers.
Usually when Alec would go outside, he had them Georgia boots that he would wear or the duck boots, and those would be left by the front door when I would walk through the door in the next morning.
Enjoy your
In
walk.
June, it was pretty hot down there in Moselle.
Yes, sir. But those were his go-to shoes
Okay.
when he would go outside or mess around, like he said with Paul that day.
What kind of shoes was he wearing when he went to work that day?
The dress shoes, a pair of brown leather.
Okay. Now, when were you first asked about what he was wearing that day?
Maybe a couple of days when they interviewed me.
When they interviewed you the first time?
Yes, sir.
They asked you what he had on?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You may step down. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll break for lunch and resume at 2:15. Please do not discuss the case.
All right, guys, I'm going to head out. Thank you for listening to my ranting. Enjoy your walk, Nikki. I don't know if you're at work yet, Sina, but if you're going to work today, enjoy your day. And I don't really know. That's it. Bye for now.